Like I don't know how you justify that for the shareholders.
Yeah.
Okay, we just started the recording.
Okay. Everybody sounds smart.
I don't know if I'm
Stop being polite.
Yeah. And I'm probably not going to run the meeting, but I'll run the slides. Hey, Sonia.
Yeah.
We started recording. By the way, I figured out why I couldn't modify the slides. I was projecting the one slide when I downloaded it, so it locked the deck.
Because it was, you had it open.
Yeah, that was something new.
Is it still available? I assume it is.
All right, we start off the same way every time. Introduce who you are, and this time you're going to answer the question: how many all-electric miles have you driven in your life?
In your life.
In your life, not today.
Can we take 5 minutes to?
Yeah, you absolutely. And I'll start by introducing, as I thought about the question myself. So I'm Jerry Glazer, and I have driven since 1998 around 170 to 180,000 miles all electric.
Oh, interesting.
Which isn't that impressive because I figured out that I've flown my plane close to 250,000 miles. So
Is it an electric plane?
no, it is not an electric plane.
Hi, I'm Brad Morrison. I actually have never owned an electric vehicle. I did have a roommate for 8 years who owned an electric vehicle for, maybe 5 or 6 of those years. So every time she needed to go down to a meeting in the city, or in the East Bay or in the South Bay, she would usually take my vehicle, which is a Honda Civic Hybrid with like 200,000 miles. So she'd take that and I would drive her Nissan Leaf from like 2011 or 2012. So I have driven some, but I give that answer because I don't actually have any idea.
Make up a number.
Yeah, I have no idea how many miles. Probably not very many.
I'm guessing like 6,000.
Oh, that's a stretch. I don't know.
I might be off by.
Because the way that I took each one of the cars and I said, okay, the Honda EV Plus, we probably did about 45,000 miles on that one. And then I rented it, I think. I didn't get very far in that one. And then the first of the Leafs was probably about 70,000 miles. The second Leaf has got 45,000 miles on it. And the
Are you
Kia,
counting DJ's miles driven?
I am including DJ's miles driven. I'm taking credit for those as well.
See, I was thinking of it by year. Like what years did I drive an electric vehicle? But you're thinking about my vehicle. Just different ways.
I'm much older than you. So,
So I was going to take credit for like 50% of all the electric cars we've owned and add them up and say.
change it to family.
So a family number I think would be close to yours, which I'm kind of surprised. Like
Really?
170 because. Well, I can only really count 50% of a Chevy Volt, though.
Yeah, well, you can't. That's not all electric. Oh, well, yeah, I guess it is all electric for a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we count that one.
All right. So 120,000.
Wow, you have that much in that car?
No.
It's just the
It's-
Tesla, right?
No, the Leaf before that.
Oh, you had the Leaf before that. Okay.
Yeah,
Steve.
a Leaf and a Tesla and a lot of commuting to San Francisco, which
That'll do it.
Oh, yeah.
will do it.
Steve Pierce, I think with our Nissan Leaf, we don't drive a lot, 40,000 miles. It's a 2015 Leaf.
It has 40,000 on it now.
No, it's got 51, but we bought it used.
So Dan, I started out with a brand new 2013 Nissan Leaf, and I was commuting to Walnut Creek, and so I was putting like 2,000 miles a month on it.
Wow.
So when I gave it to my daughter in
As you do.
November 2024, I had 138,000 miles on it, and then with the 2024 Hyundai Ioniq 5, it's a little more than 9,000, so the answer would be 148,000 miles.
Wow.
But I'm only driving about 500 miles a month now.
A different lifestyle.
Different
Isn't that
lifestyle.
nice?
Yeah.
Max?
Could you switch it a bit more because I'm not visible yet?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, Okay, my name's Max Anderson. I have a house in Petaluma, but I live in the East Bay in Lafayette. And I've been trying to come to one of these meetings for a long time. So I was in Petaluma last night, which made it easier. I was just doing some basic calculations too. I leased the Leaf for 3 years, so I hit 45,000 with that. Then I had what's it called? Kia Soul, not the one downstairs, but it's identical, which I ended up wrecking, and that hit 100,000 miles.
Oh,
Wow.
that's good.
It was really great. I love that car. But then I actually got that one's slightly bit better. It's a premium EV Soul, and I've done 20 in that. So what's that? 165. I did that 9,000 mile road trip. So it's just 175. I'd say around 175. Because I've rented a few other electric cars in my life as well, so 180,
That's
right up there,
Oh, wow.
high 100s.
Yeah, and you're in the high miles road trip club with
Yeah.
Yeah,
our friend did 11,000. Our colleague Cecilia did 11,000.
nice. I was going to ask you what your longest trip was for your total.
My longest trip is probably electric. It was down to San Diego and back.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
I only did it, so.
With long trips, I take the plane.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I'm like Newell. I was coming up with a similar kind of number, like somewhere between like 175 and I don't think quite 200, but
Yeah.
I had the original Leaf for 12 years, so I think it had about 80,000 miles on it when I donated it. And we had so I was going to count this. We had a plug-in Kia Optima, but we almost exclusively drove it around town. And I plugged it in every night. So, because part of my debate with the Kia dealer was it almost had so few gas miles when they wanted to change the oil and things like that. And then our Nero has 40,000 on it, and this EV6, I think we've driven it for 25.
Wow, already?
When you add all those up, yeah. So the other part about this, because I did know you sent this out before the meeting, was I've taken 2 trips to Oregon in the last 5 weeks. So and so each of those is 1,000 miles. I just I hadn't reset the trip odometer yet from last weekend's drive up there. So normally I don't do that many miles, but it just turns out.
Wait, you can set the trip odometer?
Well, there's several. So that's why when you and I chatted about this, how you can reset the accumulated miles per kilowatt.
Sorry,
Yes.
mine doesn't let. Is one of the things.
I think if you go to the right screen, then you hold down the OK button, it'll reset.
I have to look at that because we always complain about that.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Because it resets when you charge all the way up, and it resets when you turn the car on.
yeah, so the one at the very very bottom, you have a gauge at the very bottom. Okay, well the
You have to do the
2023
model.
does. Yeah. So yeah, that's electric miles.
Right, Brant.
Appreciate the deep dive into the software screens of various like the worst.
But yeah, Miles, we're just introducing right now.
Yeah. So I have 2 cars. They're about the same. They're both about 75,000. 2016 Leaf, which is like the weird one that was 30 kilowatt hours, and that's 10 years old. And then I have ID4 that's about 5 years old. So yeah, we've caught up with the ID4. Taken some trips out to Colorado, leaving on on Tuesday. And did a couple rentals, which maybe offsets my daughter more recently driving the Leaf to school.
Dave Harris.
Yes, okay, I'm not muted. Well, yeah, this is an interesting exercise. I've never tried to do it, but my wife will have driven more than I. I can kind of add up for the cars. So we've had 5 Nissan Leafs. We still have a 2017 Bolt, which has got 44,000 miles on it. And we're in the 20,000 range now with the EV6. So you add all those up, we're, in that 150 plus miles, but most of it would have been my spouse driving when she commuted to Amy's Kitchen, corporate office in Petaluma from Santa Rosa. And even with the Leaf, that charging was all done at 110 volts. 'Cause
Jeez.
Wow.
22 miles each way and all night to charge it. Even though we had a 220 charger, most of those miles were charged. But I'll talk about the longest single, because the cars we had would charge so slow. Anytime we took a longer trip, we would rent a Tesla from Turo. And there's was a ex-Marine here in Santa Rosa that would rent his Model 3 unlimited miles. So in 2022, we took that Model 3 to Fort Collins, Colorado, then down to Dallas, Fort Worth, and back home by the Southern Route, 4,002 miles in
Wow.
in 10 days.
He since changed his policy.
All right, Dave Heacock. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Ecock. Guesstimate 15,000 maybe. Most of that in a lease, and then my Ronde I've had, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 or something off and on. Probably 15,000 or a little less.
All right, Russ.
My biggest road trip was to Thunderstruck.
You did that several times.
My Leaf and my Avanti.
Yeah. Hey, Russ?
I've driven my Kia Soul for maybe 6,000 miles.
Wow, that's heavy.
Sorry.
How old is your Kia Soul?
It's a 2015 model, and I bought it in 21.
Wow. That's going to be collectible soon. I mean, those limited miles.
2015. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
out
it's
of
got less than 100,000 miles on it right now. It's got like 87,000.
Yeah.
Is it out of warranty though for the battery? Like it's 10 years or 100?
Yeah, it's out of warranty for everything now.
Oh,
I had a Soul before this one, and I got the battery did start depreciating just before 100,000 miles, like at 80,000. So I got a new battery, but then I crashed it.
Battery is still good.
Yeah, I know. I kept telling the insurance company, this thing costs $10,000. They gave me $500 for it.
Oh, jeez.
It had a great battery in it.
I know.
You should have bought the car at a salvage and sold the battery.
Yeah.
actually, that's not a bad option.
Yeah,
If they only-
I wasn't thinking straight at the time, but possibly I should have. Yeah, it was totaled though.
The insurance companies.
No, I've seen that. Yeah, not just my son once put tires on a car and then had an accident with it. And when he got back from the insurance company, it was less than what the tires cost just like 3 weeks before. I'm going, okay, keep the car.
Yeah.
Sell the tires. Okay, we'll just go through a few items here, and then after that, Brant's going to talk to us about what SCP is doing in a topic which was really interesting to the club, which is how to get people into used EVs. With 70% of the population, when they buy a car, they buy a used car. And we didn't have used cars before, and now we're just starting to get them, so it's going to be interesting. So you want to do this? You want me to do it?
Sure, I can do it.
Okay.
As many of you know, the NBEAA is a chapter of the Electric Vehicle Association, and you can find them at myeva.org. And the mission is to educate and advocate for the rapid adoption of electric vehicles, which we seem to fall into alignment with pretty well. And we run a website where we keep all of our stuff, and we also have the club email that just goes out to kind of announce the week in advance and the day in advance and the recap. And we're still looking for more active members of the Facebook group to run that in case that might be helpful for people to stay in touch. And then
Yeah,
we've
the
got
Facebook group has like almost 40 people in it. So it's a little bit smaller than the email group for anyone that hasn't used
yeah,
it.
which is decent, and I'm open to hearing if people are congregating on other social media.
And we have a lot of videos now.
Yeah, and we do have a lot, and they're long videos, unfortunately. We have not sliced and diced. If I were the product manager at YouTube, I would learn how to slice into people's lawn videos
Yeah.
the relevant points.
Because we started with
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to run with that idea and build a company, feel free. So we do have a bunch of YouTubes, and also the PDFs we find are helpful because the links are active inside the PDF. So
Yeah.
if you've got like a great topic, you just grab the PDF and find all the links.
So there's a lot of material in there. There were presentations we've gotten in the past, and one of them was from one company that said, you can't make all of this public. So we couldn't post the video that he shared with us, but the PowerPoint's there talking about his product line, where he's going and stuff like that.
So we do run a bunch of different types of emails, and not everyone is on the NBEAA Discuss Google group, but that's a great way to get some activity going in between meetings and ask your questions. Or David Heacock told us, hey, there's Apteras up on 101, and Mike's got a report on that. And so we also have like kind of an officers Google group, so that we can just rotate in and out our officers and get activity from outside groups like Sonoma Clean Power and stuff like that.
And you brought up that thing about discussing the Aptera. I want to know, did anybody follow up on the news article saying that Aptera is going to open their production line up here in Santa Rosa?
Wow.
I missed that.
You missed that? It was in Discuss. But I couldn't follow it because we stopped subscribing to the paper. So
That's an old article.
it's an old article. Okay, so it's not happening.
2012 article, but the interesting thing, I really want to thank Linda for finding that, because I just got a mail from Mike here. Thanks, Mike. He took a picture of the 3 Apteras sitting out in the field there along the freeway. So if you look at the pictures in that article, they were all white, and these 3 are white. I think that's where they came from. They came from the warehouse where the article said they had a bunch of them sitting there. So maybe that's where they came from. But what I don't think the Aptera community even knows about this. And what I'm wondering is, why did these suddenly show up? This is like one of those weird things. Why did they suddenly just show up after Aptera built the first 5, and now they're getting more and more press? But the guy I don't want to reveal his name, but the guy that told me about this is going to try to talk to the owner of that lot on Tuesday and find out what the deal is. But I sent him this same information, and I'm thinking that's where they came from. This is kind of
maybe the lease was up, David. Yeah, you might the lease on that lot might have been up, so they pulled them out onto the road.
They got evicted.
Could be the warehouse where they had them in that article. Maybe it's just strange. They all of a sudden just.
Well, I took my wife to the airport yesterday, and I saw him sitting there on the off ramp.
Yeah.
Is this that same property where they also have that kind of like modular?
Yes. That's what. So
Yes.
David, I'll send some more after the meeting. I just couldn't. I just clipped that shot and sent it to you. But yeah, there's some story to this person who owns that.
Yeah.
They have a business at the corner of Fulton and River Road. It's the same organization, or it must be the same people involved.
So, is that the one that used to be Zap?
Yeah, or related to Zap. Yeah.
Okay.
So we all got lazy, obviously, this last month. So we have no news. So we jump right into our presentation.
I was going to report on the California EV credit, but I couldn't understand when it starts and how it gets administered.
Yeah.
So Brant might cover it.
I was going to touch
Perfect.
on that. Yeah.
Great. So you're on.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Brant Arthur. I'm program manager at Sonoma Clean Power, part of our customer energy solutions.
Should we move that closer? Or Mike?
Turn the camera.
Oh,
Just turn the camera.
but how's the mic sound to you guys? I already turned the camera.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can you hear him okay?
Oh, there he is.
This is my voice, David. Can you hear it?
I can hear your voice, but it's not the best quality sound.
Okay. Well, I don't have the best voice, so.
It's a very expensive microphone.
Brant up here.
David, is this any better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Tolerable. Live in Santa Rosa, grew up in Lafayette, so I know that drive. And yeah, I want to talk about an idea that I've been working on with my colleague Connor Wolf. Just to talk about pre-owned EVs. You know, we've looked at a lot of things that we can do in the community. You know, obviously we've focused on charging for a while, so we just wrapped up our Cal EVIP grant that I think started in 2021, which was a partnership with the state to build out public fast charging and level 2 charging, and that was middling success. We have programs on managing charging, so we have our partnership with EV.energy. You can enroll your vehicle get a $100 reward for signing up, and then up to $10 a month to kind of optimize your charge. And then we have had vehicle rebates before. So we had one that ran from 2016 to 2018. I actually used it to get my Nissan Leaf, before I worked at Sonoma Clean Power. So. And I think the last year we actually did do a used EV pre-owned. I used pre-owned because that's what my understanding is dealerships prefer to say pre-owned, but I may say used at some point during this.
Yeah, the new vehicle dealerships prefer that term.
Yeah, right, yeah. So yeah, I'll go through some things about kind of the market and kind of, where we're thinking, and then the benefit of having this conversation today for me is just really to talk with you and to get insights on some questions that I have on my last slide and take some
notes. I threw that into the invite to the meeting, saying be prepared to participate.
Great, okay.
Tell me when to go to
next slide, please.
Okay, very good.
So I want to, a couple years ago we did transportation needs assessment, and we had kind of 9 key findings. We were looking at transportation broadly, but 2 of them that stuck out to me relevant to today. Is one that, car dependency we serve Sonoma and Mendocino County, so those are the 2 counties that I'll be talking about, is universal. Pretty much all residents rely on cars at some point. And that's especially true for lower income households. Like they pay the highest burden in terms of percentage of their income that goes to transportation. And that's even true for these trips that we've identified, under 5 miles, these would be great for e-bikes and that sort of thing. And those still get largely served by cars because of infrastructure. People just don't feel safe, riding an e-bike, or transit, is not high enough quality to kind of meet their needs.
And not frequent enough.
Yeah, exactly.
In contrast, and put along with what you just said, in the South Bay, the greenhouse gas footprint is 45% is transportation.
Yeah.
Here, it's over 70%.
Right. Yeah. We don't have a lot of heavy industry. So yeah, it's a lot of driving around. And Mendocino even more so than Sonoma County, right? People drive more because it's more rural. The other one is the next wave of EV buyers. So we did a survey and we kind of identified this group we called EV intenders, people who were not definitely going to buy an EV, but they were, sometime in the future, beyond the next 6 months, they were, I would like to get an EV at some point. And that was kind of the largest group. Initially, that group was very male, very high income. And, when we did our survey, it was actually predominantly female, that EV intender group. And Hispanic representation was much higher than that kind of initial buyer.
When we're at Earth Day, that matches well the kind of thing that we run into. We run into a bunch of people who talk about, I have an EV and they want to talk to us, but then there's a bunch of people coming along and say, I'd love to have an EV. I know I can't afford one because they're way too expensive, and that's a myth today.
Right. Yeah, but. Initially they were, and so we'll talk about price in a second. And I think that initial kind of early adopter group is much less put off by cost. It's hey, I paid $35,000 for a Leaf. Compared to a gas car, it was a much smaller car that went less far. But I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm in it.
And the stories, by the way, I hope you can get it all out. The stories worked really well because I used your story, Mike. With a friend's daughter, who said, I really want to get an EV, and I got to get an EV. And I told her, look at an EV6, look at Ioniq 5, because it matched. And a week later, and she said she's looking for under $20,000. A week later, she had an Ioniq 5.
Wow, good for her.
Great. Next slide. So, some of the things that we've looked at in terms of like a benefit for buyers. There's currently a lot of rebates that we'll talk about. Some rebates that are there right now, but 2,000 is a common one. There's a used EV rebate that's right now available from PG&E. It's $1,000 if you are up to 400%. No, it's 80% of AMI. Yeah, area median income. You can get $4,000 off. Just recently did a calculation on fuel savings. It's on average it's about $2,000 a year at our current gas prices.
Do you know what area median income is today?
For a household of two, it's like 64,000. One is 46,000.
Okay.
I think at a family of four, it's 100,000 around there.
Is it scaled or is it just binary on or
it's different for Sonoma and Mendocino. So,
but not in terms of income. So you're either below it or above it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Correct.
This
It's based on the
particular
size of your
PG&E.
household, and it's based on
One
here
number.
here it's the county you're in. Yeah. So
Thank you.
in Mendocino it's lower because income is lower.
Yeah, but we see that in a lot of the incentives. That's a really good question, Max. Is that you look at the incentives and it says if you're below this level, you qualify. If you're above this level, you don't qualify. But you make $1 above this level, and you don't qualify.
Yeah.
My understanding is the $1,000 PG&E credit is going away in September.
Correct. Yeah, we'll talk about So it's you have to start your application by the end of August, essentially. Then it's going to be only the income qualified one.
Yeah.
They had a really high uptake, especially for the income qualified level, which was 4,000, and they're like, "Oh, this is not sustainable. We need to pick one of these," and so they're going with the income qualified one. And that level is also really similar to another measure, which is 400% of federal poverty level. And that's the other measure that's used, and so that doesn't change from county to county. That's the same.
It's a hard number.
Yeah. And just go back for a second. So the other benefits being increased reliability, and another calculation I just did recently was just looking at the reduction in emissions just from fueling. Previously, we've done kind of life cycle emissions, but for a used vehicle, you wouldn't count the embodied energy of the vehicle. Hope I'm not getting too geeky here, but it's a 97% reduction.
This is the argument I always have with Zano, because he goes, I'm keeping this hybrid because, which is like 25 years old, and he replaced the battery in it recently, and now he has some fuel problems with it. And go get an EV. And he said, well, it's the embodied carbon that I have in the vehicle that I don't want to impact again. So one of the things we'll have to talk about someday is what percentage of our vehicles get recycled.
It's a pretty high percentage.
High percentage,
yeah. Vehicle recycling is very high.
And before you move off this one, do you want to include lower maintenance costs?
Yeah, so I think that's like bundled into their increased reliability. I don't have like a hard number for that. We did do some of that from when our survey. I think there are some numbers.
Yeah, we should get a hard number.
It's like $500 a year or something like that.
Is it really that much? That's the savings, or how much it costs?
Savings.
I think it's because I took a photograph which I could find later because I was at a Kia dealership and they had it on the TV screen. They had the price of a combustion engine service, which I think was something like 200, and the price of the EV service was 25. And I took a picture of that because there's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
So I took my EV6 in for service because I was nervous about the ICCU and I wanted them to check on that. And then there was some data problem with the screen that they have a software problem. It hasn't been fixed yet for loading new data. That was the first time I've ever taken an EV in 28 years in for service when it wasn't a recall by the dealer, which was free. So that's the only service I've ever paid for.
And it was
wonderful.
It wasn't much, right?
It was, well, it turned out to be $190.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they did something specific.
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of specific
Because for an
things.
EV maintenance, an EV standard service is basically nothing.
Well, on the...
I would say that VW Hansel's not shy of charging me a lot of money for very minimal things.
Yeah.
Cleaning leaves out of the gutters.
Yeah, okay.
Kia found a place to replace the oil in the differential. And so they want periodic service to replace the oil in the differential. I go, bullshit.
Yeah.
That's become a really big thing.
Yeah.
Like I
'Cause-
think all the dealers are finding oil in,
Places that
Yeah.
you never had to change
I
before.
think breakthrough
That's a way to
is-
push the price up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we can go to the next slide. So just a little bit about the used EV market right now. So wholesale values are actually up right now year over year. That was different a few months ago. Like since March, there definitely has been an uptick. So the average used EVs right now is $37,000. It used to be 2 months ago. Well, in March it was 35. This is May data. That's the most recent data that we have from Cox Automotive.
But I mean, the question is, what age are these models? I mean,
So that's the thing, is that a used EV is typically newer than a used gas, just because they're coming off lease typically.
Right, yeah.
So they're usually
There's
3-year-old
not a long
vehicles.
tail to it.
Yeah. They're probably a nicer and more technologically advanced vehicle than a comparable.
well, if I may just jump in with a quick
Yes.
story then, because as I mentioned, I totaled my Kia
Yeah.
Soul a few years
Yeah.
ago. And I'd already got quoted. I was going to get about $9,000 from the insurance company, and initially said, "Oh God, I want to get another EV. I'm going to have to do another lease." And I started looking at that, and the prices of those were like $40,000 to $50,000, and I thought I don't want to take on a new loan. Then I started looking at just used EVs, and you're right, there's those numbers. But then I started thinking, I really liked that Kia Soul I had that was basically at that point about 10 years old, and I started looking at that age bracket. They were all under 10,000.
Yeah.
I got that for $9,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So age, the old and it was fine. It was basically fine. Low mileage.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just that there's a lower volume of
So
those, right?
yeah,
Because the
we'll-
ramp
we'll-
up on
We'll
production.
talk about this. I think the Recurrent has data showing that, when you look at, for example, the federal tax credit you had, that's $25,000 is this kind of threshold. It had to be under $25,000. That's about 39% of used EV sales are under that threshold.
Okay.
And honestly, there's also just a lot of Mercedes and other kind of
Yeah.
luxury vehicles that are coming out of the market that might be dragging that up as well.
But we're seeing a lot of brand new EVs coming on the market right at the $30,000 mark.
Yeah, which
Well-
are gonna, a couple years from now are gonna be
But I'm saying there's a market for below 10K.
correct.
There are cars that
Yeah.
are still fine, and
Yeah.
the question I asked when I reached out to one of these owners was I want to see a photograph of the battery at 100% charge. I want to see the range. I need to see that.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
like-
a great thing for
Or-
Recurrent. A lot of dealerships will use Recurrent, and they will use data, from I think it's 30,000 plus EVs that they have in their database. And then they'll also do that. They'll talk to the dealer and say, "Hey, charge it to 80%. Send a
Show me
picture of the mileage there, and then drive it down to 60 and show the difference." And then they can.
A lot of the dealers I dealt with didn't actually
Yeah.
even understand the idea of.
Yeah, CarMax, they pay a Recurrent to add that to all their vehicles. So
Okay.
any EV at CarMax will have that Recurrent data, and you can do it if you need the VIN number.
Yeah.
Wait, CarMax pays what is a Recurrent?
Recurrent, yeah. So they're a company that specializes in
Oh, it's a
used
company.
EVs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works.
You can use their
Free.
services for free, but they also offer dealerships this kind of package where they can drop in a little box into their website.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that before. I don't know if you're still looking for used EVs under 10,000, or if that was when the.
It's a couple of years ago now.
Okay.
Have they gone up since then?
I don't know. I was going to say if it's May of 2026, that's basically when the whole U.S. Israel and Iran stuff hit, and the price of
everything
gas
went up.
shot up tremendously. So the Strait of Hormuz, I guess, it's 20% of the world's oil, goes through there. So that may, and it's in the third bullet point at the end, that may have played a big role in that.
Yeah,
jump.
let's go to the next slide. There's some graphics on this. So this is new versus used EV prices in May. So you can see there's pretty big difference. When it comes to new vehicles, but even with their recent increases, they're still pretty close on the used. You said, I think in March it was a $900 gap. It's closer to $2,000 now.
Can you read what the green and the blue?
The green is
Yeah,
the EV
sorry.
models, and the blue is ICE.
Yeah.
One of the things about this that I think the graph might miss, there's a lot of expensive EVs that exist out there,
Yeah.
if you look at the numbers. But I looked at Kia and also looked at Nissan. They have vehicles which are comparable. That is, there's a gas model and there's an electric model. And I looked at the difference in their new prices and in their new prices of comparable models.
Yeah.
It's like 500 to 700 bucks.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, Kia is especially one of those Kia. Hyundai. And the next slide is on, this is days that vehicles sit on the lot in May. So new EVs sit on the lot slightly less than gas cars, and for used EVs significantly less in May. So there's more demand for these vehicles.
Wait, if I go past the lots and I talk to the dealers, I wouldn't have expected that graph.
Yeah.
I mean, they sound like, the EVs aren't going so fast.
I've
But the
talked
gas
to-
cars aren't going that fast.
Yeah, I mean, as of a couple months ago, it was really hard to get vehicles in the lot for a used EV dealer. And I've talked to these dealers, and
This is interesting information.
Yeah.
people will say much different.
Yeah.
You'll talk to one dealer, and they're like, "Yeah, these are flying off the lot," and the other will be like, "Nobody buys an EV," and it's kind of like there's a difference
Yeah,
in
who's right
products.
here?
There's
Well, yeah, no, it's because a lot of it's perception at the local level. Like, this is interesting information if they
Yeah.
take surveys of.
So this is released monthly, so the June data will be out middle of this month.
What
In the next week.
percentages?
This is from Cox Automotive.
16%, 40%?
Oh, that's a month on month and then year on year. So
for both.
yeah, the inventory.
Oh.
The time on lot has gone down, both compared to month, and then if you look on year, it's significant.
Okay.
Tightening inventory. So we'll talk about incentives really briefly. So again, with state and federal incentives going away, a lot of what is available right now is income qualified. So we talked about kind of those two different numbers. Clean Cars for All is the Bay Area implementation of a state program, and it requires scrappage of an older vehicle. In order to get the incentive, which is $10,000, and there's another $2,000 that you can tack on if you are in a disadvantaged community. And then the Driving Clean Assistance Program is a statewide program that kind of fills in the gaps where there's not a local air district implementing Clean Cars for All. And it does not require scrappage. Question.
What, do you know what the federal poverty level is?
It's really similar to what I was saying for 80%
81,000 for
AMI.
family
Yeah,
of
so it's like for a household of one, it's in the mid $40,000.
400 or
40.
100%?
It's 400% of the
400%.
federal poverty level.
You have to go below 400, and that would be like 60,000 for 2 people,
Yeah.
80,000 for 4 people.
Is the federal poverty level or the 400%?
400% of federal poverty level.
Oh, okay.
And the
Because
reason,
that's what you care about. You care about that 400% level.
and by the way, low
Above and
income
below it.
in the Bay Area
Yeah.
is $105,000.
Yeah, no, I mean we live in a high cost area of the country.
That's why it's 400%.
I have heard of people going out and buying a old gas car just to qualify for Clean Car.
Sure. Yeah, you get a $500
Oh,
clone.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I don't know if I qualify for the 400% of federal poverty level thing. Because, like, my parents have a '99 Ford Ranger,
Yeah.
so.
Is that gross or net income? Gross.
Adjusted growth.
Adjusted
Oh,
for
adjusted gross.
Yeah.
Income tax.
One of the things, so we talked about the PG&E's pre-owned EV rebate. David, was that a comment, or were you just chiming in? Okay. So there is, in the current state budget that is being finalized, hasn't been signed or anything yet, there's $135 million for a light-duty EV incentive. It's intended to be like a one-time incentive. I think it goes until 2031 technically, so it could be, refilled in future years. It's a really unique take. I thought it wasn't going to happen, but like, and at one point it was 200 million, and now it's 135 million. But it could, if the budget gets signed in August, which that would be the next step. I think they're on recess right now in the legislature, but if it gets signed in August, it could go into effect as soon as September. California Air Resources Board has been working, as this has been legislated, they've just been working on the details so that it's kind of ready to go. And I can go into the details, but yes.
What does light duty mean?
Light duty is it's a weight class, so in SUVs, sedans. I think it's anything
something
up
like not
under 8,000
8,000,
pounds.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, not a Suburban, not an EV9.
Yeah, so
not
there's
not a Hummer.
like the F-150 Lightning is a great example. It's like technically light duty, but actually some of the higher battery spec versions of that tipped into medium duty just because they weighed more. And so you had jurisdictions that were required to acquire so many medium duty vehicles, and they were snapping them up because they could,
That means a Rivian at 7,000 pounds.
Rivians are still heavy, yeah, but
They're still heavy, but they're still
Yeah.
light duty.
Yeah.
If you go back several months, you'll find a presentation that John Pomerly did
Okay.
on purchasing their car, and they got all of these, and their car was $50,000, but their out of pocket was $25,000.
it's a good job. It's like those people who maximize their miles for their credit card, and they're like this after a week of work, here's the free vacation I got.
Ready?
Do you have a sense of how long that 135 million will last?
So here's the deal. It's a direct partnership with, I call them OEMs, but vehicle manufacturers, and so it's a match. So they haven't finalized the amounts yet, but what they have thrown out there as an example would be $3,500 for a new vehicle and $1,750 for a used vehicle. In both of those cases, the state is covering half of that, and they're saying, hey, in order for the state to pay out, you're going to cover the other half of this incentive, and you're going to make it clear that half of it is coming from the state of California. And there is a limit for, I think, the total max value. I think it's $50,000 MSRP, but they've excluded California headquartered vehicle manufacturers, which is Rivian and Lucid, but not Tesla.
Who excluded?
The state, yeah. So that could get challenged, and actually the legislation basically says if this is challenged, like the rest of the legislation stands, you can't just throw it out if that's challenged. So that'll be interesting. It does mean that for the used vehicles, the only eligible ones would be ones that are sold from a automaker dealership. So it would be a Honda selling, a Prologue that is off lease, as a certified pre-owned vehicle. It wouldn't be from a third party, used.
But maybe a CarMax too, right? Like,
I don't think so.
oh, I see what
yeah.
you're saying, because
Yeah.
it's the manufacturer connection.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh,
And the automaker can specify which models they want to offer that on as well.
So where Nevada Chevrolet has a lot of those Chevy Bolts or something like that.
Yeah, and so this is the
Go get a
state
Chevy
of
Bolt.
California paying this money directly to the automaker, and the automaker is kind of acting as the implementer of this, the people who are kind of making it all run in the background, which also allows them to get started, assuming this passes.
complicated.
And because there's individual buckets, I think each automaker gets the same amount of money. So you could have, Rivian, runs out of their money for, the R2 really quickly, and, another automaker that is maybe not moving as many EVs has that incentive for longer.
Next.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just like, I love these details too much, so I talk for too long. I'll try to go faster. So these are some other pre-owned EV rebates. Sonoma Clean Power is the default public power provider for Sonoma and Mendocino County. We're a community choice aggregator, or CCA. These are other CCAs in the area. Peninsula Clean Energy recently changed their name to Westlight Energy. But a lot of them are point of sale, as you'll see. So the idea is that you would get this off of the price of the vehicle. The PG&E one, I just went through this with my parents. Like, you have to submit a copy of your driver's license and the sale receipt, and you have to do it within 60 days. But the difference is that when you do a post-purchase rebate, you have to finance that amount of money. So, I mean, if you're not paying cash, if you're getting a lease or you're getting a loan, that's another $1,000, $4,000 that you need to, take out a loan for. So a lot of them are going towards point of sale.
And when it says 25%, so that they pay out 25%.
Yeah, so that was the amount of people that they have like various options. So some of them require it to be point of sale, some have both options, and maybe a quarter of the people are taking them up as a point of sale. So we're working on a concept. This is not guaranteed going to happen, but this is one of the things I'd like to talk about today. So kind of similar to some of the examples that we just saw, the concept that I'd like to talk about would be a $2,000 instant point-of-sale rebate for pre-owned battery electric, so not plug-in hybrid, priced at $25,000 or less. Some of the ideas we were talking about are maybe start small, like work with one or two dealers that in order to learn. I think that, based on some of these other rebates that are available, like it would be really great to be able to stack this with the existing rebates that are out there. If you're going to get, if you're eligible for the PG&E rebate, you should definitely get it. I think that there's probably a lot of people who buy vehicles and don't know. When I've talked to dealers, they don't know about the PG&E rebate, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds amazing! Tell me about it."
Even recently, like in the last few, that's disappointing.
But you have 60 days to tell your friends and family. So there's, I find that the PG&E EV rebate works because it can be done later. Yeah. And the check's always nice.
Check is nice. You do want to have a rebate that is causing somebody to make a decision and not just catching it on the back end. Like, I already did this and now I'll get it. And like, no, I want to, when you're shopping for a vehicle, I want to be like, actually, you should look at this because you'll get another $4,000.
Not to question you.
Please.
What you're saying is a little concerning to me. So when you spoke to the dealerships that you did you speak to the EV salespeople or the other salespeople? Because we've heard lots of stories, over the years of people being disappointed with their salesperson, people at the dealerships, locally and otherwise, because they seem to know more about electric vehicles than the salespeople do.
And to be on, to give credit, I have talked to salespeople who I'm like, oh, you maybe actually do know more than I do. so like they're out there. For a lot of dealerships, there's just a really high turnover, in sales people. So you need somebody that's sticking around and kind of getting that information.
Because that's surprising that they wouldn't try to refer like people that were like buyers, potential buyers that were interested in EVs to available rebates of thousands of dollars.
Sure. Yeah, but they're also probably just trying to serve their customers. The customers are coming saying, I want this, and they're like, I'm going to help you find that. Not steer you towards something that you weren't thinking of.
Yeah, but even the people that bought EVs, you're saying weren't like referred to the available rebates? Like that's, because then basically you have to find out about it on your own or you miss out.
Well, I think what you're getting at, Brad, is that there's an educational component.
Yeah, I think there's a gap there.
And also that there's the incentives are not aligned for a dealership to really care about the type of car you buy. They want you to buy the car that exists on their lot, right? Yeah. And that may or may not be an electric car. So, they have a lot of motivation when you come onto the lot and say, I need something reliable, or you have like a very general idea. So I think that there's a lot of educational opportunity up front.
And oftentimes a bunch of the payment that goes to the dealers will come from spiffs so these are special payments that are made to the salespeople based on if they sell a particular vehicle or they talk about this thing. You'll get $250 if the customer makes this choice.
In two of my EV purchases, I found exactly the opposite. You know, two of them, yeah, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and one of them, the very first EV purchase, we argued with the sales guy for an hour because he kept saying you don't qualify for an EV,
Yeah.
you don't want an EV, and then finally we had to fill out a 25-page questionnaire that finally qualified us to have an EV in 1998.
You mean they wouldn't sell it to you before
They
you filled
would-
out the questionnaire?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. In 2011, in getting the first Leaf, this was down in Sunnyvale, the Nissan dealership brought back a guy who was retired, said, we'd like you to be our EV specialist. He knew all the discounts and knew everything else, took care of all the paperwork. Up here, when I traded that one in and went to Jim Bone with Nissan, I just lost his name again, they have an EV specialist, and he as well took care of all the paperwork for all the discounts and everything else for me, and all I had to do was sign my name and it all showed up. With Kia, they wanted to do that, but they didn't seem in the same dealership, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have the expertise to do it. We went back and forth because this is when the Biden stuff came in, and I did get a discount, but it wasn't really clear how to do that because of the way it all works. I mean, it got a lot more complicated. So some of the dealerships have it, and some of them don't. I have that down on my list of the things that we ought to discuss.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if there's a list of the EV specialists for the local dealerships.
That'd be great to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to really update it. I mean, just
Oh,
Yeah.
But they're, but what Brant says is true. They're motivated to do certain things. They're not helping you. Like there's no way you can get them to be 100% in your court to help you.
okay. I was hoping that if
So
some of the
you
larger
should be more
vehicles-
aware of that, I would think,
Okay.
than
I-
try to change a salesperson's orientation to life.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I was just thinking if a dealership has already an EV specialist.
Well, it's
Or-
nice to have them tell you how to work the car or something like that, but
Yeah.
the sales process is a motivated event.
they have vehicles that are sitting on their lot they're getting charged every week. They sit on that lot,
Yeah.
and like those are the vehicles they want to move, and they will steer you towards
Yeah.
those vehicles. And hopefully, there's alignment on that. Like that's ideal. But
Yeah. I wanted to provide
Yeah.
feedback on
Yeah.
using a price cap instead of income verification because
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah.
And
Yeah, and maybe can I just say something on that? Yeah,
Sure.
like one of the things that we've heard is just that when you do income verification, so a lot of these things that we're saying, 400 FPL, 80% of AMI. Sorry for the acronyms, but you need to verify that. Sometimes that's by like getting an IRS transcript that can
Yeah.
take a week, or you just have to bring in your documents to the dealership. And some people, don't feel comfortable doing that, and it adds extra work to it. So one of the things that we heard that we'd love to try would be that, when you're talking about vehicles under $25,000, you're not getting to the lowest income bracket. $25,000 is still a lot of money. If I found $25,000 on the street, I'd pick it up.
Yeah.
But you're starting to get to that low to medium income customer without the complexity of also doing.
The number used to be, when you had the discussion, under 15. Now
Yeah,
it's something like under 18.
Yeah. And actually, we've heard that kind of the sweet spot is probably closer to like 15 to 20,000.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's helpful to understand how you arrived at it because I would totally agree with that. But what I would add on is that we live in an expensive community, and that the younger you are, the more likely that you pay more for housing here.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you're more rich.
Yeah.
It just means that FPL means nothing to you and your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so, to me, when I think about all the people we want to have living with us here in Sonoma County who can't afford to live here, like they need things, they need programs that aren't like designed like a program you would design in a lower cost of living area. And so to me, an under $25,000 car, not only does it meet all that criteria that I love in terms of like frictionless buying, which is something that people talk about, like how can you just get it out the door super fast, but it also meets that requirement of like these people probably have budgetary concerns, but it's not going to, like getting their IRS statement is going to help you understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I was going to wait till the end, but I actually had a recommendation on how to find the number.
Okay.
Okay.
What number?
And the numbers that work best for the target for a program, and that is to go look at Sonoma and Mendocino counties and find out what the average used vehicle price has been historically and what the trends are. And that's the target you want, because you want to target at exactly what everybody is
market.
used to seeing, whether it's electric or it's gas.
Yeah.
Now the argument after that is if you get the electric, you'll have some complications because you need to charge up the car. If you don't have a house, that might be a complication for you. If you do have a house, here's the other things we have to add for you. But you don't have to maintain it. The cost of your fuel is going to be less. You get some other benefits to go along with it. But the number has to be the number that they're used to paying.
Yeah, and when I talked to a used car dealership, but they said that $15,000 to $20,000 is ultimately where people were interested in.
But
shopping.
I'm sure there's got to be either state or federal numbers that already have analyzed this for us in our county. And I said for our county because that's your
that's
market,
great.
right?
That's
It's
great.
it's not Santa Clara, it's not Palo Alto, and that take a lot of the high-end cars off of the list as well. So the number will look like a very different number.
That's great.
And I just quickly
I
add,
see what you're saying.
point of sale just is so much more appealing to me personally than what's the other one called? Proof of
Post
Yeah.
purchase.
post purchase. I mean, that just seems like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Well, it involves a lot more paperwork.
Yeah,
It sounds
that
like
I've got
because
to do on my own. Later on, at some point, it's just like it's all.
Yeah.
You might
Well,
forget.
Might forget.
Yeah.
it's more about the person, the buyer, than it is about the vehicle,
Yeah,
It
exactly.
affects the lending.
which is a
right,
lot
the
more
amount
complicated.
you're
Yeah.
getting as
Because you have to get tax
And there's even
returns.
the aspect which you didn't mention. I thought was it, but certainly thinking of myself with the again. What's the thing? Not point of sale, but the other one.
Post purchase.
Post purchase. I'm not guaranteed I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
With point of sale, I'm guaranteed.
You
on
might
the day,
get rejected.
That's it.
Yeah, you're saying, hey, actually, you
don't-
don't live in the
you don't
territory, or
So there's an uncertainty about that.
Does Sonoma Clean Power have on their website a list of all these different incentives?
Yeah, we
that
do.
you
Yeah, we have
update?
an EV resources page. I can share the list.
Because if you were to keep that up to date, all you'd have to do is point the sales manager of the dealership
Yeah.
to your web
Yeah.
page, and they could disseminate to their salespeople, so they have a customer in front of them. They could either print it out and put it on their desk, but boom, 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 and then income qualified versus non-income, and then what you need to do, and
Yeah.
which ones are after the fact, after the purchase, or point of sale,
Yeah.
and it would make it like super simple.
This is a cost for Sonoma Clean Power, but the experience I had was I was at the Energy Center and I was trying to figure out some other, I think I was putting out a different hot water heater or something else, and I wanted to get some information about rebates. And they sent me to the county, and the county then
the
scheduled a call to me and consulted with me. And I think that might work with the county, might even work better with Sonoma Clean Power. If you could get staff,
Yeah. Did you talk to Dory?
get Jeff, get a
yeah.
staff member. You
Dory's
call this
the one.
number,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay? Tell us what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
and we'll tell you the things you can do, and we'll send you the material. That more than the money, I think more than anteing up the money on a sale by sale, but making the buying process an easy buying process. Here's the places you can look. Here's where you can get the incentives. That whole presentation from Redwood, where Redwood said, here's a list of vehicles that we have that would be possible for you to get.
Yeah.
Right?
Great. Steve?
I was actually out shopping and bought a car the last time Sonoma Clean Power had a program. And quite honestly, the dealers that were participating seemed like they had jacked up their prices because I could go and buy the equivalent vehicle for $3,000 less if I was willing to drive, in this case down to Sunnyvale.
Yeah.
So
It's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
I think it was used. It was the Nissan Leaf. They wanted $13,000 and I got it for $10 down in
Right.
Sunnyvale.
So it just
yeah,
discount
that the
disappears.
incentive was pretty much useless. And
Well, that's
we run that risk with programs like this, kind of any of these programs, even the new one the state is doing. And then I remember at the time going to a Sonoma Clean Power meeting, And there were dealers that were not part of the program back then, and they were pretty upset. Like, why was the dealership in Petaluma not allowed to participate and only the one in Santa Rosa? So when you talk about saying a couple of dealers, you're probably going to run into that same issue.
Well, okay, that's a good point, Steve. So I don't know, I mean, Brant's more familiar with it than I am because I haven't looked at it in a while, but I think it's the Bay Area Air Quality Management District that has the Clean Cars for All.
Yeah.
There's like a list of participating dealerships, but I don't know how many there are in Sonoma County. Like there was like one
There's one.
in Marin.
And there's one in Santa Rosa at Platinum.
Oh, so Platinum's still the only one?
So,
I mean, you could work with them because I mean, if the dealerships start complaining, like the ones in Petaluma or any other in Santa Rosa, it's like, well, then sign up with the program. It's been in existence for years.
Yeah, but at the same time, you want people to participate, and as soon as you start closing down the dealer list, you're going to limit it.
So do you think, Steve, that like a Redwood Credit Union, for example, which is not one of the dealerships, would mitigate the problem of trying to like bump the price up and make the extra profit for yourself? Like, do you think that like Sonoma Clean Power could pilot with someone like?
Yeah, I mean, one idea I've had, and I have not like cleared this with Redwood Credit Union, but you know, like, what if they could do it's called principal reduction at origination, essentially. So like, hey, you're getting this loan for a $25,000 vehicle. Could you just take $2,000 off of that? And that's you still do the negotiation and everything with the dealer, but they offer financing for vehicles and have a rate reduction for clean vehicles. So could be one.
Yeah, I am curious about that because it sounds like it's a real problem, and I always think about CarMax not because I love the company, but because they have a high volume of and capacity to get EVs from other kind of regions and things like that, and so that's another way. But you also don't want to necessarily ice out like dealerships that have these types of cars. And then the third idea would be like some type of letter saying some of the money from your purchase is gonna, I guess it's not point of sale at that point. It could be point of sale at that point where it's like you basically get a check that you could use anywhere as long as it's for a car or something. I don't know exactly.
We've done
it.
things where you get pre-qualified, you get a certificate that you can take to the dealership, I think.
Yeah.
That's how our original program worked.
Okay.
So just kind of prevent that.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought you would take your proof of owning the vehicle to Sonoma Clean Power, because then they'd walk into the customer center and get the rebate.
No, ideally, I mean, I think the fastest way would be to have the dealership would confirm that you are a Sonoma Clean Power customer, and then from there they could issue the incentive.
So you guys actually want the dealerships to issue the incentives? Because I thought that was a problem last time. Meaning that
point of sale. That's what point of sale is actually the best.
It's better because then you don't have to finance that money.
And you're shifting the workload from Sonoma Clean Power to the dealer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought Sonoma Clean Power would actually want new EV buyers to go into the customer center because they may not go in otherwise.
People can still come and visit us. Like, I'm not against that, but it adds complexity.
I mean, the other reason was we heard stories, and I don't know. I mean, I know Jerry heard some of the same stories from the 18 or when?
2016 to 18.
Yeah, where the dealers actually raised the price by $2,000.
That's what you're saying.
And basically took the incentive. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if if you're working through an EV specialist,
off the MSRP, but
In that one, there was fixed prices. It was not. It was, or there was little negotiation.
Yeah, it was kind of sold as a bulk purchase agreement. So there was a negotiated price, and when I got my Leaf, I just walked in and they had a matrix being like, you can put this money down or this amount or that, and like here's how all the pricing works. It wasn't a negotiated thing, and I was like, that one, Okay, so I know I've been talking. I do have like 2 more slides and then some questions.
Keep going.
Okay, so just the other question. I think we're getting into this, which is like beyond the rebate, beyond giving somebody money. there's other things you can do to help out. So dealer staff training, both on EV benefits and then how to walk through like stacking multiple incentives. That's something that we've heard. We've talked to other programs that have had this type of dealer training, which is in person or online or both. We're just talking about instant point of sale rather than after the fact, post purchase. And then also discounted financing, is another one. RCU does have a quarter rate discount, and they also have a half rate promotion in the spring every year. And I helped my parents get a used ID4, and they had like 1.9% financing on pre-owned ID4s at that point. Okay, and we'll talk about charging. So I think the next slide is my questions. Some of them we've already covered, but I know, Jerry, one of the things you were saying is that you did talk a lot about used EVs at Earth Day. So I'm just curious, maybe to start off from that experience or other tabling. When somebody asks about a used EV, what's their biggest question that they have?
The problem is not so much the question. For me, it was they all walk up with the same prejudice, and that prejudice is it can be complicated having an EV. It's going to cost me more. So we didn't get a ton of people saying, "Where can I get a used EV?" And we were showing used EVs. And
we think this is great,
right? And the problem is to make that fit into the way that they've always done everything.
Yeah.
Right, and we need to figure that part out. It's funny, you just made one comment. One guy I worked with when I was making electric buses and trucks, I said, so what's your goal here? He says, I want to get a bus for free. So when he talked about incentives, he would stack all the incentives till he got a $250,000 bus for free. Yeah. I went to CARB once and I said, change the programs, because they have the HVIP program. And I said, you're giving away money. Don't give away money. Tell you what, help them buy the vehicle, and every year for the next 10 years, they're going to report to you what their maintenance cost was and what their operational cost was versus what they told you their operational cost was for their fuel vehicle up front. And over that time, they're going to pay you X% back on the money that you spent to buy the vehicle. The problem that we face is that people perceive that electric vehicles are more expensive than gas vehicles. So one is change the perception. Second is, if the perception is true, make it so that it's not.
I agree with that part.
The number you need to focus on is total cost of ownership.
I know that's the number you need to focus on. And when I have to explain one other part. I left out the last part. I was interviewing for a job, and I talked with another company that was making electric buses, and I told them my thought on that, and their marketing person came back and said, forget it. And she said, nobody's going to go for that. They want a free bus. And she said the same thing. So as much as we all recognize that the total cost for us is lower, it doesn't sell. That is, it doesn't change people's perception.
People care about upfront costs.
The one thing that made me figure it out for myself when I persuaded an ex-girlfriend was the price of gas.
Yeah.
You know, when I started doing basic calculations on what I was paying for my combustion engine car and what I could lease the Leaf from, because I remember seeing the Jim Bone ad, it was like, lease an electric car for less than $200 a month. It's like, it's a free car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't get it, but
and that was when gas was a lot cheaper than it is right now.
Sorry, Dan. No matter how much you explain it to somebody, it doesn't sink in. Even I have a hard time.
Price of gas.
I have a hard time here because I burn 10 gigawatt hours of electricity in this house. We drive 16,000 miles a year. That's our average. So I figured 4 gigawatt hours a year worth of the energy that I spend is just going to the cars. I pay PG&E $1,000 or less a year to go 16,000 miles. And I work out if I had a gas car, how much would that cost? It's around $4,000 worth of gas. If I explain that to somebody else, it ain't going to sell anything.
Yeah, I don't think people are very interested in that. I think they're more interested in, like, a lot of people who came up to Earth Day said, I can't quite get an EV yet. And I think they're about 40,000, and that's why I can't quite
Exactly.
get an EV yet. And we spent a lot of time saying, did you know that you could get a new one for under 35, which was new at that time, and you can get a used one for under 25, which was also new. And I think, some people had, like, say,
They don't believe it.
a Tesla bias
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
and they were like, well, I can't picture that there's an EV that exists for under 25 that's as nice as a Tesla, but I don't want a Tesla or something. And we're
And-
like, here's two of them. Just
And
go
maybe
check
we
them out.
need a snapshot of a real life example. So a picture of a car that's listed for sale. So a 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 5.
Right.
Show the miles on the car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Show the used price. Show any potential incentives, and say this is a real life example as of this point in time.
So, but I think we need more than real life examples. We need a marketplace. And that's what I was saying before. We need a marketplace that shows, here's the vehicles we have in front of us right now. That's part of what Redwood was doing, but it's not,
They don't have enough vehicles all at once to
they don't
look
have
at,
vehicles
right?
all at once.
Yeah.
They don't have a central place displaying it, And part of what we need is, I've said the same thing before, we need a place where you can go and say, I need help. And maybe when you get to the place that says, I need help, they have a list. I was thinking about your center. I mean,
Or you're
it's too
talking
bad
about-
you've got your center, and when I went in to ask for help there, they sent me someplace else. You got a storefront, for God's sake. Start advertising, come to our storefront, we'll give you the expertise. By the way, we can show you the places that you can
Yeah.
shop, and here's the places that you can get vehicles.
Or like a single website, even if it was a page on
Actually,
Sonoma
that's-
Clean Power, where you could go, use EVs, and you choose whatever make or model you want, and it would link to the local dealer's
Yeah.
page. I don't know.
That's interesting, but if maybe this sounds controlling, but I actually would like people to go into Sonoma Clean Power's customer center.
Yeah.
Just because I'm assuming if somebody's going to buy a used EV or a new EV, they're a homeowner, meaning they have a stable place to charge the vehicle, and they might be interested in
That's,
other.
that's also part
Well,
of
that's
it.
one of these
I
questions.
don't- I would rather sell to people who aren't homeowners anymore. you
Yeah.
know?
Oh,
I'd rather
do they
sell.
have? I mean, because I don't have an EV because
You
I
don't
don't
need
have
a
a stable
charger to
place
have
to.
an EV.
Well,
Where am I going to charge it?
There's lots of public
So,
chargers.
actually, you and I went
buy
down that
You
thread
buy
once
your
before.
EV so cheap that you can afford to charge at the grocery store.
Trouble is,
I mean, I don't know
kilowatt
anyone
hour
that
charge
does
has
that.
gone up a
regularly.
lot, haven't they?
Yeah, but I said,
But you
Brad,
can buy a
something.
monthly membership and get a monthly membership through a couple of different,
Do they
charging
still-
organizations.
Do they still
that-
charge something per charge?
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to charge
yeah,
you.
Because those
On
have gone
top
up a
of the
lot.
monthly membership.
Yeah.
So the question is, how long is your commute and how much, it's definitely going to be cheaper if you have a driveway and a 110 volt, a 110 charger at night, right? Like that's going to be cheaper, I would think. But ideally, it shouldn't preclude you from getting your
No.
car.
I want to go down a different,
EV.
it's a different thread, and that thread is, because that one has been in front of us in multiple places since I've been involved with EVs. How do you charge where you live if you don't have a house? And I just saw recently in New York and now in San Francisco, somebody's come up with part of the solution. Originally we were talking about, can we hook up to the utility, blah, blah, blah. Somebody else came along and said, hey, tell you what, we're not going to hook up to the utility. We're going to hook up to the private building right here that's on the street. And we're putting a post right there, and we have a deal with them, and the energy goes through them, and they get part of that deal. You have to bring your own cable, not your own charger, but your own cable. And I thought we ought to start exploring that for our area and see if we can promote that.
Curbside charging.
Yeah, curbside charging.
Europe's big on bring your own cable.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, like we do in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
can speak to that. So I'm on the climate commission for the city of Petaluma,
Yeah.
and we actually reached out to that company. They're based in New York.
New York,
And
yeah.
there's
right.
two of them.
Yeah, they
It's
come out.
electric is one.
Yeah, and what they said to us was, sorry, but we don't think there's a big enough market there.
Yeah.
Because of so many single-family houses.
Yeah, yeah.
So one of our goals, I'm on the EV subcommittee of the Climate Commission,
Yes.
is we really want to look into multifamily housing, so apartment complexes, et cetera, and put in 110 charging. There's plenty of third-party companies out there that can monitor and bill, so it's actually a win-win. So it's a benefit to the owner of that complex because now they can have tenants that have electric cars, and they get a little piece of the action for every kilowatt used, a small, if you know, and they don't have to maintain anything. So we would love to work with Sonoma Clean Power on those types of opportunities.
In that thread, there's two things that go along that. One is, I think it was Blink, I went to one of their sessions, and they have a program for multifamily where you sign up with the owner of the facility and they get a piece of the action, they'll do the maintenance on it and stations and stuff like that. I do believe that we should get away from having the cables sitting out there exposed, because that's the expensive part. And owning your own cable, throwing it in the car makes a lot of sense. That company in New York has a reasonably good solution, and the fact that they don't think there's a large enough market, can we figure out a way that we can work with them and their technology to launch something here that would do the work?
They're in Alameda, they're in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if they won't come up here, is there a way for us to do that and say, okay, you don't need to control the market, we need your technology. Give us your literature, whatever else, we'll do the marketing.
It's pretty expensive. Like I've looked at the quotes for even connecting to a neighboring building. You know, it's $100,000.
For
How much?
connecting what?
$100,000 to connect it?
Connecting what?
And you're a curbside charger.
Yeah.
So you're going through the sidewalk. You know, there's trenching involved.
Well, don't you want to sell some used cars this next week and worry about that later? Can't you just give people
It's
cash
a
cards or
separate thing,
something?
and I think it's involved. I'm not going to wrap it up in this. My preference for multifamily housing would be actually connecting the dumb chargers directly to people's meters, so that if you can get a EV rate, or if you're a care customer, which means you get a discounted electricity, you can also benefit from that. Like that would be amazing. And we can talk about that at some time too.
But some kind of way to get people into an EV and give them some EV charging
so
network
I've
credit.
seen some folks have worked out a thing with ChargePoint where hey, you get a card that's got $200 of credit on it or something like that, or a discounted rate if you're a care customer. Again, that's an income qualified rate that you can get.
I have a new program to approach,
separately.
to sponsor.
Okay.
Sponsor helping the dealers give their sales guys electric cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been amazed by that. The dealership, the employees in the dealership are not getting electric cars, even though they've been told to sell them. They should be pushing those on their own staff.
Yeah.
So we have a program incentivize the dealerships.
Yeah.
Even to have one or two guys.
Yeah.
Last night, or night before last, I was in the Uber leaving from San Francisco to go to my friend's house, and retired San Francisco policeman was the Uber driver, and he was in his Honda EV, and we started driving and asked, how do you like it? I'm never getting a different car. I love this. He started selling us, and here's Raj, he's got 2 EVs, here's me, I've got 2 EVs. I said, we've been driving EVs for a while. He said, isn't it fantastic? We talked all the way to Palo Alto. That's what happens when one drives an EV. But if you're a sales guy, and you drive the EV to do some test drives and you're not living with it, you don't start to realize how great it is. As soon as you give the sales guy the EV, then he's going to sell the EV.
No, I love that. And I have talked to salespeople with EVs, and they're they get it. One of the questions I had here that maybe I think that starts getting on is how do you build trust with a dealership? I actually went to RCU Auto with my parents when they were looking for a used EV, and that was a different experience. They're a little bit different. I don't know if other folks have been there before.
You want to build the trust. You have luckily you guys have the center. The Energy Center is a great idea. Why don't you contact each one of the dealerships and say, we're going to have a session with your EV specialists, and invite them all to show up to the center. and talk about, and then you'll have a
Oh,
cadre
interesting.
of sales guys who now think that, whether they are or not, they're going to think that
Am
they're
I the
EV
only
specialists.
jaded person in this room? like when you're selling cars at a new, kind of when you're selling new cars, you're selling your inventory, right?
Yeah.
And you're following a formula that's going to make money for your company, and it's nice to kind of like get different salespeople really excited about EVs, but I don't know if that's a great way to.
I get this. I get this from having worked in a factory where I was showing the guys how to build electric chassis, and it was in a factory in Indiana, and the guy said, the major problem with these vehicles, they don't make enough noise, and revs up the engine and the next vehicle over, because that's what those guys drove all the time. So even working in the factory where they're building the EVs, what they drove is what they thought was the right thing to have.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the type of people who haven't yet bought an EV and are in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. They're like single moms, or they're people who need like a second, slightly reliable car, that sort of thing. Maybe they need to get to another place. Like that's another big thing we heard on Earth Day is, how do I get to Fresno? How do I get to LA? Whatever they're like.
Yeah, they're thinking of the extreme example.
The city that the rest of their family lives in is kind of like where they want to go, and so they're like, I don't trust that this car will get me to Fresno or to LA or whatever the city is.
Yeah,
right?
I had a conversation with one guy at Earth Day about that, and I just turned to him and I said, how many trips did you take last year that were over 100 miles?
Oh yeah, that one.
And he said, 2. I said, you probably could afford to rent a car if you were really worried about it.
Yeah, it's
people like to
definitely
walk
a
out
fact.
onto their driveway.
That was the
and hop in a
salesperson?
car too.
No. This is
Oh.
somebody who walked up in Earth Day, and I was asking him.
Oh,
And
you were
others talk
saying that to
about they're
them.
looking for pickup trucks,
Yeah.
right? And how often? And one guy was, I need a pickup truck. I said, how many times last year did you actually put something in the pickup truck? And he said, I went to the dump once.
Yeah. Home Depot does it for $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Actually, the rental place here is $25 a day.
Well,
Oh, okay.
but that's the thing because your idea was great about the gas prices.
Oh yeah, price of gas.
The problem is, I mean, it would have to be a salesperson who would actually ask the customer that question. And if there aren't many, dealership salespeople, they're actually interested in selling electric vehicles over, the internal combustion engine vehicles on the lot. They'd have no motivation to do that.
All right, write a spreadsheet or write a little app that you put on your website, and ask people those kinds of questions that we were just talking about, and then it comes down and says, yeah.
If yes, this.
How many?
Oh, yeah.
How many times do you drive? Okay, here's what your car will cost you next year if it's electric, and here's what your car will cost you next year if it's gas.
Well, it touches on what you're saying, because I keep thinking one word we haven't used yet in this conversation is marketing.
Yeah.
And I remember distinctly driving up 101 one day, seeing this Jimbo ad saying, lease this for $199 a month, and I thought, shit, suddenly that number resonates with me, and I'm, it's like, that's a really, and I started to do my own calculation. I can afford that. No sales guy figured out. I just said, and I worked out really quickly, and spending more than that on gas in my Acura XL, whatever it was, I forget what it's called now.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a no-brainer. And okay, then you get rid of the things that exist anyway, like insurance. That applies anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just became like a simple calculation I did for myself. But back to the idea of marketing. How much marketing are you doing around this? Just in a creative way. I've got this idea. I've been carrying around this idea for a while. Do you know who Horatio Nelson Jackson is?
No.
Yeah,
No, but 1903 was the first road trip across America, starting in San Francisco, and it went to New York, and in 1903, so 2028 is the 125th anniversary of the first ever road trip. And the guy that did it was called Dr. Horatio Nelson Jackson, and I've been thinking about, I want to celebrate that in a used EV.
Mm-hmm.
which is like, you know, maybe less than 20,000, whatever, and like just start redo that road trip promoting used
Yeah.
EVs.
We
I want to do that myself. I want to maybe buy one and just like cover my car in promotional material
Yeah.
about like these things, and also to prove that the network exists and all that. It's like start marketing it.
Yeah. So I actually don't know you. I don't even know your name. So you're new to me, but there was a YouTube that we put on for NBEAA. The guy who started Harmony Farm Supply, he did that. He did a long road trip. I don't remember if it was cross country or where it was, but he did a presentation. I don't know when that was. Do you guys remember?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
He did an EV
So
road
it's
trip.
actually on the website, the NBEAA website, or YouTube. If you're interested, you could.
Yeah,
check
I'd love
out
to
what
find
he-
out because I want to
Yeah.
do this in 2028.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of like, you know, leverage my desire to do it with like promoting things and getting the word out there. And also, I want to find a way to actually, on a daily basis, charge for nothing by either staying at people's houses or whatever, just to sort of prove that it's also a really great community.
Yeah.
You know, that I got from here to New York for basically nothing.
Like plug share or something.
Plug share, exactly.
You should work through the EVA. They would be interested in promoting that.
Yeah,
the
the
international.
Oh,
parent
interesting.
organization.
Okay.
But you know, just in terms of marketing this type of
that's a good
program,
question.
I think marketing and education would be great. And I don't know if I'm really off track here, but like other than Dory at the county,
Yeah.
and clearly I'm not that enamored of dealerships. So I was thinking about libraries. Like how much do libraries get involved in helping, you know, community members obtain
Yeah.
certain
We've
things?
worked
Like-
with them. You can check out our energy savings boxes
Yeah.
from
Mhm.
libraries.
Oh,
That's it.
But yeah, I know they're thinking of expanding their role. You know, like especially with their
Yeah, like
tax measure that
tool
passes.
library orientated
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
program.
yeah, that's more up
But
there.
I'm still back at your energy center. There's a
Yeah.
place for to look at the hot water heaters and space heaters, and here's some demo kitchen. There's not a section in the building that says, "Let's talk about vehicles." We got the
We did
little
it.
funky vehicle in the front,
Oh, the switch.
Yeah.
the switch.
Some kind
So,
of
yeah.
some kind of visual that
No,
would
visual
help you
says, here's our
understand.
consultant, here's
Well,
the
actually,
booth
that's-
to go through, here's the vehicles, here's the places you can find for them. I mean, that's the place to start, because if somebody's looking for a recommendation, put it in your flyer saying, in this energy center today, we now have a consultant for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
that's-
I'd recommend that one of the booths we had at the farmer's market created just a board that had all the vehicles for less than $25,000. Just went onto the web, did screenshots. The next step would be to do a QR code with each of those. And, you know, it takes staff time to keep that up. But that board got more looks on it than anything else. Just
I love it.
And I think
Yeah,
what we're all
I like
talking-
that visual of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you could have a person that answers the questions, but also a little bit of visual
In fact, you
around,
walk in.
you know, like,
yeah.
and also just like 2 or 3 different types of chargers. So when I speak with women who are like at Earth Day or something like that, they're like, you know, what's it like to plug the charger into a, like just to like physically pick up a charger and go, oh, it just goes like that or something, like even like some physical stuff.
Yeah, it's very visceral.
Yeah.
No, I think the common theme here is we're talking about creating demand. So we're focusing, like Max said, what hit him with a light bulb was the 199. But it's either us speaking in terms of, you know, an EV user to someone or, you know, in the energy center, whatever. But it's getting to the consumer and planting that seed to create demand. So when they would walk into the dealer, they walk in saying, hey, I'm looking for an EV or a used EV.
Exactly.
Because, you know, coming at it from the supply side, from working with the dealer and the salesperson who, like you said, may or may not be incentivized to sell an EV.
Yeah.
You know,
So we have the incentives, and I think they get in the way of us recognizing the barriers to adopting using EVs instead of gas cars. The first one always was cost. and that's starting to go away, but now it's a marketing question on how we market. The cost is not that big an issue for you going forward. The second one is, and I got this from my sister-in-law, she would visit us here. I actually built this thing so that she had a place where she could hang out for a month and not feel like she was imposing. I would load her in the car. She said, I don't know how to drive an EV. Well, she has since bought a Chrysler hybrid that is 35 miles, all electric, and the rest is gas, and she only uses the electric in town because she thought driving was different. So the knowledge in the transfer is the second barrier. The third barrier is the one that Brad runs into, and that's the convenience. If you have your own home, actually, I've had so many people call me saying, I have to get an electrician to hook up a charge station. Okay, you go downstairs, you're plugged into one of my old stations. On the other wall is a NBEAA 1450 with the portable adapter that came with the Nissan that charges the EV6. Okay. The wiring's not complicated. Or Zeno, if he was here today, his son came to visit. He had rented a Tesla. He needed to charge it up. He says, how am I going to do this? I went over his house. It cost us $32. It took me 15 minutes, and I wired up a NBEAA 1450 for him. I'm not an electrician. Okay, so that part is complicated. Apartment living, you don't have a house, you don't have a way to do this. We need to solve that part as well. I mean, so those are the three barriers that I know of. Anybody else have another barrier?
Range. So it used to be range was a big issue, but that's going away.
Well, it's not just range.
Yeah, even with these $15,000 to $20,000 cars,
So
you
it
could
used
get
to
a
be
couple
like,
hundred miles.
you know, my brand new 2013 Nissan Leaf, you know, 90-mile range or so.
Yeah.
So now,
Fully
you
charged.
know, 250, you know, and an 80% charge is common. So the whole range anxiety thing has really gone away over the past.
But I think
But
we
we still
made-
think that needs to be addressed
we made-
educationally, right?
we
Yeah, it does.
We made the mistake, and actually that's part of what I think I also want people to focus on. Range anxiety was the issue. Okay, if you had a gas-powered vehicle and it had a small tank and only go 150 miles, do you have anxiety? Probably not, because I can stop and fill it up. It's not how far it goes, it's how fast it charges. And so I tell people when they're going to go buy a vehicle, if you're doing road trips, go find one that charges at 350 kilowatts, because in 12 minutes, you get another 215 miles worth of range, and that's what our EV6s do.
Yeah.
So 12 minutes is nothing.
So that
Would you agree that the used EV equivalent would be go find something that charges at 150 kilowatts?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
because
fine.
Yeah.
at that point, you're in a 15 minutes to drive to any place where you have to, if you're my age, stop and pee again.
And along that mindset is also getting people to recognize that it's not just a case of just sitting there while you're charging. Think about planning, because I did these road trips, and so think about planning the charge to coincide with a rest break and
Yeah.
a lunch break. So it's like I'm
We
stopping
have
to
biological needs that.
eat, you know, it's like
Yeah.
just, and then it's not like I'm standing there waiting for the charge. I'm doing something else at the same
It's
time.
different. I mean, it's definitely more planning. I'm planning a road trip right now, and I'm like, I'm going to stop here and here, and in the gas car, I'd be like, I can drive.
The apps,
Yeah,
Plug Share is a very good app.
Yeah. I mean, driving for 5 hours without a break. How many people do that?
Exactly.
I have a question. When you were talking about what you saw that Jim Bone ad, and the other thing that has stuck out to me is like the equivalent gas price.
Yeah.
So PG&E has their EV rates, and on there they calculate kind of what the gas equivalent is. Gas equivalent is hard because you're essentially like comparing two vehicles, so you have to kind of like use an average of gas cars and EVs. But what they currently have is it's the equivalent of paying $2.16 per gallon of gas.
Yeah.
And if you're a Care customer, it's $1.40. And
Wow.
And that's a very juicy number compared to five something.
right, and if you're a gas car driver, you know what that is. I've actually kind of like gotten away from that. I don't know what it is.
Do you have a sense of how many Care customers in Sonoma Clean Power territory there are that are also homeowners or have access to either home or workplace charging?
Well,
Yeah, for a rough number.
I think
Oh,
I
okay.
think just saying like, do they have driveways is a good way of saying it, because it's like you can rent and you can, like if you have a driveway, you can kind of get to a
Yeah, even if you're a renter, you can say, hey, there's this rebate that's going to cover the installation costs. Would you, landlord,
Yeah.
be okay with that? It's going to increase the value of the property or whatever.
Question in the back there.
Yeah. Kind of a radical idea. Like Sonoma Clean Power has had very good success with this toolbox they've had
Yeah.
for, I don't know, 10 years.
Huh.
The equivalent with an EV.
Yeah.
You buy like 10 EVs, and it's a nominal charge, and it gets over that hump of, I need to try it out myself.
Who buys those 10?
Sonoma Clean
Sonoma
Power.
Clean Power. They have a fleet of
It
their own
loans them
EVs.
out.
What?
It loans
Is
them
it
out.
an
Well-
EV lending library?
Nominal charge.
Well, you
I
could
mean,
rent
that-
them for some nominal charge. I was thinking about the same
So-
thing about rentals as
And-
opposed
and
I
to.
don't know that it's a
And that's
radical
something-
idea. It would be like a subsidized rental network that you guys run.
Well, that was
So Portland did that.
To challenge
Oh,
Uber.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dan's in the back.
That's something we're already thinking about in Petaluma.
Yeah.
So what we'd like to do is put in charging stations at the Petaluma North Smart Station,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I've talked to
And
Scott
have,
about
and
that.
have some rental cars there as well.
Uh-huh.
Could be some like Uber car, you know, and some other charging spots for just people to charge. So
Yeah.
there's commuters who want to, plug in and take the train down to
Yeah.
the county and work, whatever. But that would be a good spot, the downtown, and then also the fairgrounds, where they're putting in that brand new police fire station there in the parking lot. So and that is right on the central bus lines as well. So if you had somebody that lived 2 or 3 miles away, they could get on a city bus, they could get off at the fairground, they could rent an EV and use it for the day if they had to go grocery shopping or up to Santa Rosa for an appointment or something.
Yeah.
Come back, plug it in. But they would be used EVs.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the city workers.
No,
Because do they have more workplace charging? Was that what you were saying?
no.
Okay.
Question from
David?
David.
Well, I'm going to make the comment. I mean, I hope you were expecting this, Brant, that having the center, Sonoma Clean Power Center,
Customer
have a
center,
display area that answers all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, pictures of cars in a driveway with the 110 charger. I mean, we lived at the 110 charger when my wife was commuting to Petaluma. I mean, and a renter can do the same darn thing. And, if particularly if they're renting a house, it gets more complicated in an apartment building. But that's the other thing that I think Sonoma Clean Power needs to take on. We had this speaker many years ago, the guy who lived in Petaluma, who was made his business on putting in charging infrastructure in apartment buildings. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Does Zipcar still exist? Or is that
I
gone?
think
Oh.
it does, because I saw it in Oakland.
The car rental service?
Yeah.
Like
It does, yeah. Having a company that knows logistics and
Yeah.
can manage it like that's.
Yeah.
And I was in Detroit for a conference last year and visited. Yeah, it was a low-income housing development where they had used EVs that people could check out to do their groceries. That was just in that parking lot, and they charged it up, and people loved it. They thought it was fantastic.
Because when you go to San Francisco, I see a lot of people on the rental bikes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking
Bike share.
here, the rental bikes don't work quite as well as a rental car. We talk about the leases and all that. That's a major commitment. But the renting a car for the 2 hours or whatever, and doing the things that you need to do around here introduces everybody also to the EVs.
And also one of our other ideas was working with an organization like Burbank Housing to put in some charging stations and then used EV rentals that the residents could use. So get a lot of cars off the road and then people could check them out.
Yep.
The one good thing is all the new construction in Petaluma and East Sebastopol and Santa Rosa and Sunnyvale, they're all required to put in some percentage of charge stations.
Pre-wire for them.
Pre-wire for them, yeah. Actually, here in Sebastopol, I talked them out of it. They had in their code, when we were doing the zoning code for here, they were requiring X number of fast chargers in each apartment building. I
Oh,
said,
Jesus.
what are you out of your minds?
Yeah.
You guys have no idea. So a bunch of people that knew nothing about EVs are making up a code.
Well, that's kind of interesting. Actually.
How about loaner cars? Like if I go get new tires at Valley View Tire, they have all these little beater loaner cars, and I
Yeah.
always think that's so nice, like to not sit here for 4 hours. And I can't think of like a better equivalent in terms of loaner cars, but like if you said,
you're not
"Oh, I
gonna go very
only
far.
have a budget for 5 or 6
Yeah.
maybe wrapped cars that are used EVs or something like that," like what kind of loaner situation would fit with that?
It was the flip side. My first EV I was actually able to buy and not lease, which is a Nissan Leaf. I talked to the dealer at the time and I said, why don't you have a loaner program? Because the original Nissan Leaf only went 100 and some odd miles, if even that much. And I said, I want to be able to come over here, park my car, and then pick up one of your other cars to go on a trip. So looking for a loaner car that satisfies. So there's the flip side of that.
Like
Is there anyone who
a long
rents?
distance loaner?
A long distance.
Is there anyone in Sonoma County who rents
I think there
EVs?
are yeah.
Not that I know of.
You can
I mean,
rent an
David
EV.
mentioned the guy on Turo, but he's just an individual. I was thinking like dealerships or car rental companies.
Car rental companies rent EVs.
Hertz does.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hertz does and
Yeah.
other.
They went big into it because it just made sense from economics, and then like some people
Okay.
were just like, "Hey, I got to drive off," and they got told nothing about like how to charge it or anything
Customer
like that.
satisfaction was low.
I took my Tesla adapter with me to Florida on my trip with the intention of renting an EV to drive across the state.
Yeah, yeah.
And Hertz wouldn't rent me a car to drive across the state. I could rent it to drive around town,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't let me drive.
Oh yeah, in fact, you remind me when I went to Sacramento Airport to rent this Nero to do this road trip.
Yeah.
They were desperately talking me out of it. You sure you want an EV? They want a hybrid. No, I want an EV, and I've got
Well,
a
they were
plan.
actually trying
They
to
were
work
trying to
against
talk me-
you.
Yeah, they were determined.
So
to
they must have had a bad experience or something.
Well,
I
they,
don't-
they wanted you to have customer satisfaction.
Maybe, but it was
But
shocking.
they just couldn't believe you could pull it off.
Which
Yeah, well, they didn't tell me what I was doing.
Yeah.
But because I didn't want them to know. But they were really worried about me just renting just an EV.
do you remember which car rental company?
There's a Sacramento Airport.
Yeah,
'Cause, by the way, there's also a difference in price from different airports in the
Yeah.
Bay Area.
But you rented the EV directly from the airport, or
Yeah.
from like Hertz or Budget or Avis or?
Well, yeah, one of those companies at Sacramento Airport.
Oh, okay.
I used carrentals.com because I had this plan to do this road trip there and back.
yeah.
And I just shopped around between the different airports and as well, driving to Sacramento to get this Nero for like about $20 a day.
Yeah.
And they just tried so hard
$20
to
a
make me.
day is a good price.
Well, this is a few years ago now, but
Last month I rented a
That's a
car.
good price.
It wasn't an EV though.
But it's
From
about
Hertz, $120 for 8 days.
there you go. Yeah,
And then I had to pay $50 for gas.
yeah. So yeah, it's amazing. Airports.
Yeah,
are-
I haven't tried to rent a car in Sonoma County in a very long time. I don't know how much it costs a day or how much an EV car rental costs.
Yeah, that's a great
it's hard
question.
to get them.
Let's go back to the question.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to say this has been really helpful. In order to kind of wrap this up, because I've used most of the time, but it sounds like the general concept you think is strong, and it's like it's the making the connection with with people getting their interest and then helping them make a decision that they feel good about.
yeah.
And walk them
it's-
through the rebate process, make that as,
Yeah.
like we said, the decision tree, and then rebate process where they can even plug in information like what is their, taxable income, whatever, and then it would say you have this available or that available or.
For sure. Even figuring out if you're eligible for a rebate.
Yeah.
Take some walking through. If you could have somebody
Make
that
it as easy as,
Yeah.
a lot of hand holding.
How often do people still use the long tailpipe reason to not buy an EV? The idea that I'm just plugging into a charger, but it's still being powered by a gas-powered, a coal-fired power station. I mean,
I heard that in my neighborhood recently, and I said,
Oh.
I said something like, "Silly, we get all our power from the geysers because he moved up from Southern California."
Yeah.
I'm like,
We don't have gas.
Oh,
powered
did
power
he-
plants.
Actually, I have a
Did
presentation
you know
that I
about
did years ago
solar power?
for here.
no,
Called
he was woefully
Everything Electric.
undereducated. And
and they address the,
And I looked at it in West Virginia, for instance. Even in West Virginia,
It's
it turns out that having an EV is almost parity. It's a little bit below. And then the next one was, but if you put all these solar panels up now for renewables, we're going to lose all this farmland. So then I figured out how much farmland we use to make ethanol, and turned out that if we powered the entire country with solar panels, it was less land that was covered than corn covers to make ethanol for the gasoline.
But are people still using that argument against EVs?
I would encourage us to focus on like
That's it, no.
the
basically-
early majority,
Yeah.
like the woman who needs to take 3 different trips and still feel like she has enough range
Yeah.
to take a kid to urgent care in the evening.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's where their heads at.
It's it like maybe emotionally satisfying to go after the people who are like the hardest to convert, but like it's you want to find the people where
and,
hey,
and
this
they're
is a win for
already
you.
interested.
That's why I
they're
focused on what are the
interested, but
barriers,
a
right?
little like scared
Okay.
about it.
Yeah,
Well,
there is a lot of that.
Yeah.
Maybe
A lot of
instead
that.
of focusing on the barriers, does Sonoma Clean Power ever go through your list of customers for other programs? Like either grid savvy or EV charger incentives, or the, hot water heaters or the induction, or all the other
For
stuff that you
sure.
guys
I
do?
mean, we know our customers who
Okay.
do multiple things, like
Or the
Yeah.
workplace charging, like just all those various programs you guys have done in the last decade or whatever.
But
And
ideally,
then-
this expands.
Yeah.
The
Well, yeah,
group
but I'm
to
assuming that
beyond
there are
right?
there are some Sonoma Clean Power customers who have done other programs
Yeah.
but may not have an EV, or may have other vehicles that are not EVs. Maybe they have 3 vehicles or 4 vehicles and only 1 EV. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just thought because they already have that data, it's less work. If somebody's already got an EV charger but they only have 1 EV and they've got 4 vehicles, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and we
so-
can also reach out to the people who are on, kind of lower income rates, for example, or you could say.
Not getting the rebates could stop somebody from getting an EV, but getting the rebates doesn't get somebody looking for an EV. And I think the focus ought to be on how to get people to look for an EV first, and then how to make it possible for them to have the EV.
Yeah.
So the major focus, as Max said.
And Brad is our only example of the guy who's
Oh.
saying he doesn't have an EV after how many
Yeah.
NBEAA
What the hell's the matter with you? Kick him out.
I also rent and I don't have a stable place to charge.
Well, so
Yeah,
it's
you
the
do.
barrier,
You just
right?
don't.
Well, yeah, so
If
that's
we
what
can
I'm saying.
If we can
He's
get
your
Brad into
model customer right
Yeah.
Well, but kind of what I'm saying is that it takes more work, including stuff that Sonoma Clean Power can't control, because I don't have charging at my workplace, I don't have charging at my house. Right there, it's more difficult for me to get an EV. So I'd say don't focus on people like me, because Sonoma Clean Power has had 10 years of customer programs to
So
go from.
I totally agree that is a barrier, but you're going to the gas station. You're not getting gasoline at your house. And,
No.
and I will say, because I've been to the Target in Warner Park and picked up my Turo Tesla rental there, and there's a whole bunch of people sitting in there on their smartphones
That's true.
getting
Not
charging.
anymore, they pulled those chargers out of there.
Well, okay, at the time, but
Wait,
I think
what?
those were all the people who didn't have home charging. They would just
And
go
it was
down to
free.
the.
But that's
That's
why
true, right?
you might
Yeah.
bring up a point, and when I talk to my cousins about this, and only one of them has an electric car that I know of, the challenge is this, is there's a paradigm we have of going to the gas station, going to the
Yeah.
fueling station. Okay, how do I find the fueling station? I drive down the road and there's 15,000 signs telling me how to get to the fueling station. Okay, we're gonna put in electric charge stations. Where are we gonna put them? Behind the grocery store over here, behind the pharmacy, over at, this place.
Tucked away.
We hide them,
Yeah.
okay? We actually do need refueling stations. The only one that I know of is on 19th Avenue in San Francisco, and it's Shell. And Shell has a fueling station.
Yeah.
It says, recharge, Shell recharge, and you drive in, it's right there, and they advertise it and everything else. When I was working on the Planning Commission here and the Sustainability Commission here, it's not called that here, they call it Steve. Sorry, Steve. Dumb thing that Steve made up. Anyway, I wanted to have a station here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's what's his name's beat up old station where he just does smog checks. I'm going, why didn't we have a station with a big sign here that says Shell or whoever's refueling station or recharging station? And I talked to the owner and he said, I wanted to do that too, but it was too expensive for me to do. And I go, shit, Why don't we have one of the big guys come in here and say, here's my recharge station. We got 2 highways that run through this town.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of downtown. But you still have to go find the stations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another one of the barriers. And that would address
Yeah.
part of this. But
So those
in my
are the
presentation, we talked about how much
complementary
fast chargers impact the vehicles.
Huh. In terms of reducing the number of barriers to getting an EV.
No, in terms of how long, the impact that fast chargers have on the battery life.
Well, I've had this question,
Oh.
and I it may not be answerable, but I've often wondered, because at the sort of federal level, how much support was given back in the turn of the 20th century with regard to rolling out gas stations here, there, and everywhere, or that was just private enterprises doing its thing? Because it seems that, the Biden rebates were for the car buyer, but like, where was the incentive for getting that network rolled out?
There was.
Yeah, but for the next, for January of 2025 until January of 2029, I mean, the federal government isn't really interested in electric vehicles and incentivizing them.
Yeah.
And we still spend, I think it's $35 or $45 billion incentives.
For the oil industry.
Oil industry. When we talked about $5 billion for electric industry, you said, "Oh, you can't do. We're going to be preferential." I mean,
But was there that thing? Did they do it for the gas companies back at the turn of the 1900s? They did.
we're still doing it.
Yeah, because it's like, so there is a precedent for it.
Yeah.
How about Sonoma Clean Power branded refueling stations?
No, there you go.
I mean, so other CCAs have done
Freedom
that.
fuel.
Yeah.
You mean
So
branded
San
chargers?
Jose Clean Energy has looked into that, as is Ava in the East Bay. It's complex essentially. Yeah. I've talked with the companies, who have offered to do that. I wouldn't rule it out, but it's easier to attract companies who are built around profiting
Shell.
and operating these things and
Yeah.
helping that happen.
And it makes sense, but I don't see those, in the case of Shell on 19th Avenue, we have a ton of traffic and a very high density of EVs.
High density, people who don't have garages necessarily, and that makes sense.
But we got Highway 101, and you look at the traffic on Highway 101 2 or 3 times a day, a station which was close to the highway with a big sign saying, here it is, it would be used.
For sure, and as charging gets faster and faster, and those places largely make profit based on snacks and other things like that they sell, like why not? I don't think any of those gas stations are opposed to having, and actually Latino service providers did a great survey for the equitable EV charging plan that the county did. And one of the things they talked to people, people who had really low awareness of EVs, they're like, oh, these are things. And they asked, where would you expect to charge it? And they largely say gas stations. That's what.
I was kind of surprised on 116. I saw that one gas station between here and Cotati was putting in new stations. Oh, good, they're putting in EV charging. They're putting in diesel.
Yeah, I think we went for our Cali V program. We had one gas station that did put in EV chargers.
In Millbrae at
Down in
the
Bonilla.
Chevron station, just as you get off of Highway 101, they've got gas, but then they have a whole set of charge stations as well.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Well, you think it'll happen? I mean, it would be
Well,
great
there'd
just
be
to
more
take one of the
Shell
fueling,
recharges.
or to even take one of the existing gas stations and convince them to start putting in the fueling stations, putting in electrical.
Okay, just different program, but I'm taking on the challenge.
There are some gas stations that have solar panels. I just don't know how many.
Yeah.
Well, the solar panels don't help you
Gotta
charge
run
your
the
car.
pumps.
No, I was just thinking those station owners might be more motivated to do EV charging than my guess, because they have solar panels, which is kind of unusual for a gas station.
If you can make money, then
Yeah.
If you can save money, you want.
Well, Jerry, you give me the idea that we should all be stopping in at the Shell stations here locally and asking them, are they going to follow the example on 19th?
Yeah.
Well, the Sebastopol Fast Gas? It's across the street from the Fairfield Inn.
Oh, yeah.
At the corner of Lynch.
On 116 going south.
I can't even remember how I figured this out, but the company that's running it is going bankrupt, and they also are in default on their property taxes, and
Oh,
and they have a Kenwood Fast Gas as well and a Katati Fast Gas. So there's 3 locations,
oh.
and it's all falling apart. But I don't know anything more than that. What
Yeah.
publicly understood, but I tipped Woody off, and he's on it.
I have one quick question. I know we're out of time at this point, but we briefly talked about some dealerships. You were talking about Platinum.
Yes.
So yeah, I didn't know that they were like the only dealer that was certified for Clean Cars for All. And I'm curious if anyone else has dealerships that they would call out specifically as either having something like that, or they've had a particularly good experience at, or a particularly
Well,
Platinum-
Platinum has
Yeah.
hosted us twice.
yeah,
And-
been there.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you were there, and
That's right, yeah.
And the manager is really amenable, and he drives the EV, like the Chevy Silverado, or whatever, and he
Yeah,
loves
with
it.
giant battery on wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
500-mile range, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and that
I
is-
had an
yeah.
experience helping my mom buy an EV at CarMax,
Okay.
and that
How was
worked
that?
out. It helped me understand that, like, compared to Carvana, where they'll deliver a car to your doorstep and it's kind of like it's sold or you return it, CarMax can deliver a car from one region to another,
Yeah.
either for free or for a fee.
Yeah.
Like, a couple $100, $400.
Yeah.
Jim Bone did it for free. We told him what color we wanted, what features we wanted, and they had the car transferred from another dealership to their dealership. Didn't charge us anything for doing that. We got exactly the car we wanted.
And RCU has said the same thing too.
Yeah.
Because
And
they'll
RCU
even
will procure a car for you,
Yeah,
right?
and
They'll
deliver out to
procure an
Mendocino on the
Yeah.
coast or wherever. Yeah.
And they have the more favorable rates, so that's what's nice about RCU is that, they have favorable programs in the county and favorable rates, and so that's kind of exciting.
And Jim Bone is pretty good. The only problem I'm running into with the dealerships is they don't train enough. Actually, there's no good training programs for the service, and they don't train enough people
Yeah.
for the service. So the understanding of the vehicles is deficient. I've had the guys talking to the engineers at the factory, and having worked with engineers before, they usually don't understand what broke the vehicle. You've gone through this as well.
Oh, is that why
this
they
is
take
from a
so
service
long?
standpoint. This is not from a sales standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, from a sales point of view, on the Nissan side, like I said, they have a specialist on the Nissan side,
Yeah.
and he was very good. On the Kia side, the guys were all interested and knew a bunch, but not a lot, because they're not driving EVs.
Yeah.
And-
No, I love that idea. I love the idea of trying to get salespeople into EVs.
Yeah.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
That's great.
Wait, so is that why some of those vehicle issues, the warranty issues, took so long to fix?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
service
They don't-
people didn't understand the issue?
I like McConnell Chevrolet in Hillsborough too.
I've heard this too.
That's
Yeah.
a big
Oh,
deal.
they basically can't fix it themselves. They have to do everything.
It's kind of funny, when we were doing the buses and trucks, we used to fly across the country to fix a bus, which would take us 15 to 20 minutes to fix the bus. And the maintenance guy there said, "Is that all you need to do?" And I said, "Yes." I mean, it's not that complicated.
never
One time
asked.
I traveled all the way across the country because the bus wasn't working. And said, "Where are you plugging it in?" And they plugged it into the wall, and it was supposed to be 3-phase and only 2 phases.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like a typical
How long it
call
sat
center
there for?
troubleshooting. Yeah. Is it turned on? Is it plugged in?
Well-
Plugged in? Is it turned on?
So, Brant, when do you think some incentive might come down from Sonoma Clean Power?
Yeah, probably. If we were to do something, it'd probably not this year.
But you said you had
You've got your hand up, so you wanted to jump in and say something? I just noticed.
Yeah, solve all these problems, just buy a car that's got solar on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Yeah. You're not going to sell any electricity that way.
I forget if you touched on this. Has Sonoma Clean Power looked into their own network of chargers?
And like doing something like
And
that.
sort of having it installing and having Sonoma Clean Power.
Yeah.
Or-
I mean, we have this program that we did with the state of California through the CEC was essentially a rebate program to install public chargers. I think one of the things that I think about is having our name on a bunch of chargers. And,
Yeah, that's what I was
And then
thinking.
people calling, us and being like, your charger isn't working, come out here and get it. I'd almost, rather just
interesting.
help
Pass it
help
off.
make that
Yeah.
and this is just me talking, but these are the things I think about, when I
Yeah.
definitely.
You don't want the customer care issues.
Well, I just, I want that
Yeah.
to go to a company that is ready to come out and fix those problems immediately. And I've talked to companies like Charger Help,
Yeah.
a company that does that.
I mean, how many times have you
It's a
gone to a
different
station
business.
and then called?
Yeah, quite a few.
Quite a few, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, we did a partnership with the county of Sonoma to install some of these ARC stations at different regional parks. And they're solar, they're not grid
Yeah.
connected at all, they have a battery, and so people will charge there, then use up the battery, and then, they look up at our logo,
They blame you.
Either call the county or call us.
And on the weekends probably too.
Yeah, but I do think that there's probably a lot of municipally owned land in great locations, with local governments that want to have charging happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there are more dealership or vehicle industry employees that are interested in EVs, or if maybe the electricians or the electrical industry is more interested in EVs. I mean, have you guys ever tried to work with the IBEW or various electrical contractors in town?
Yeah, and for I think any public works projects, you actually need to work with folks who are paying prevailing wage,
Yeah, 'cause,
which is largely
they do most of the charger installations, I'm assuming.
especially for fast chargers.
I just don't know how many of the employees actually drive EVs. I don't know. I don't know if there's more interest among electrical employees than there is among dealership employees. Because if there's only one dealership in Sonoma County that's with that, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, I think it was the one that does the clean cars for all
It's just
participating.
the Bay Area Air District now.
Oh, good, they shortened the name.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
the acronym is bad.
Yeah. Oh.
You're not supposed to say that. You just
Okay,
say
good.
Bay Area.
Bay
I just
Area
remember the
District.
program that was through EV Go, I think, that I used a lot, which was this. You got this network of chargers, fast chargers from Tahoe to Monterey. It was do you remember this program?
Yeah, they focus a lot on corridors. early
Corridors.
on. Yeah.
And I used it a lot because I had a girlfriend in Auburn, and I would basically go home, back and there for free every week.
Yeah, our Leaf had something like that.
Could you piggyback onto one? Could you offer that to a charging?
like
charging-
Harbor with EVgo or
Exactly,
ChargePoint?
a Sonoma Clean Power.
Yeah.
Again, on corridors, on sort of high usage corridors.
Well, but that's kind of outside of Sonoma Clean Power's territory, right? If you're going up and down the West Coast.
Well, then just within Sonoma County, then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sonoma and Mendocino.
And Mendocino.
Yeah.
101, the 101 corridor.
But it still is getting the people who are servicing and selling the vehicle, a marketing question,
Yeah.
comfortable with EVs. When I started working in the company that was making electric buses and trucks, I was the only one that drove to work in an EV. And because
What year?
nobody
was
else, 2013, 2014. And in fact, the one question they asked me before I even started working there, I had invested in the company, said, how much regen should we have in the vehicles? Now, if I asked any one of you how much regen you should have in the vehicle, what's your answer?
100%.
Yeah, how much can you give me?
Yeah.
Okay, they were all thinking.
Tone the regen down. Too much regen.
Yeah. The only company that I know of is Volkswagen. Really has really modest regen, as far as I can tell. And these guys ended up saying, "Well, we didn't really believe you, so they put in a shifter, regen 1, regen 2, regen 3." And I find all the drivers that got into buses and trucks hit regen 1 with as much regen as they possibly did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in terms of different marketing segments, I mean, if we're talking about electrical workers, whether it's an IBEW or other electrical contractors, dealership employees, and if there is a list of EV specialists at the dealerships, that would be great, because then you could say, hey, are there any service people that also actually know what they're doing when it comes to electric vehicle, like warranty repairs? Because even just having that list would be helpful.
For servicing.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you remember Mike's
like auto
story about
shops.
having to wait 2 months for, if that's a service-related issue, because they're not interacting well.
They didn't cover the rental costs.
No, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it just took, what, 2 months?
Five, you said.
5 months.
5 months?
5 months.
To get an under warranty repair?
The Slate Truck Network
Yeah.
kind of caught my eye because they're identifying and licensing
People
existing
as like say,
shops.
Yeah,
And what they said was they had like 300 shops or something like that that they had approved, and 20 of them were approved for high voltage. And I thought that was interesting because it's like,
to work on that.
yeah, because you often need a shop that works on high voltage, and so that's like an issue and a concern that needs research that I wouldn't.
Oh, you mean an auto
If
repair
I were
shop?
marketing to someone to buy a used car, I wouldn't talk about that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a
That
problem
actually-
that needs solving.
When you bring that up, they might be an issue, because I always take my car to whatever shop I wanted to take my car to for maintenance when I had gas, even when I had diesel.
Yeah.
With electric, I take it back to the dealer.
Yeah,
Every
because
time.
yeah, I do-
Yeah.
Well,
Is this the
really
option?
the problem is that you don't take it in that often.
Yeah.
And
But
the
for
dealer's got
warranty
the
and
one
other
place that
issues,
you can
yeah.
go. And part of the problem also is you gotta be careful in the shops because of the high voltage. You can't have guys working on the vehicles that have tattoos.
Really?
Because, yeah, if they use red dye, it's actually conductive.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
Did not
that's
know
interesting. I
that.
never
That's what
heard
you're
that
talking
before.
about.
Well, actually, that led me to wonder, has anyone here ever taken their EV to a non-dealership for auto repair?
Because
Yeah.
there's nothing, that,
They don't exist.
Like
They're
for an
not
out
out
of
there.
warranty,
Well,
an out of
yeah,
warranty
the
repair.
only out of warranty repair
Yeah.
I had is shortly after I got the
Auto-body.
leaf, I was driving down the highway, just north of the bridge, and somebody drove up the side of my car and just destroyed the entire side and just kept going after that.
Wow.
I had $11,000
Oh, so
worth of
auto-body.
repair, and the auto body shop did all the work. In order to do all that work, they need to know enough about
Yeah.
the
Oh,
electric
electric.
circuits.
Right. Because
The
even
only
like
thing
your
they-
bumpers and everything, like there's
Exactly.
wiring all
The
of
thing
that.
they couldn't do was the alignment cameras and all of that stuff. And so
So-
that's new in a lot of new vehicles.
I took my car to GNC
Yeah.
for body work,
They need to
and
do that
they
stuff.
sent me to Enterprise for a loaner,
Uh-huh.
for the time. And they were Tesla approved.
Uh-huh.
And I also, prior to that, I took it to, I don't know if it's called Brooks or something in Roanoke Park, but Tesla has an approved network where they
Well, that
know
might be
how
helpful.
to take the
Hook up all the
battery
cameras and
offline,
everything, yeah.
right?
Huh.
Yeah.
It's
That's
actually,
what-
in our cars, it's really easy. I did it the other day. There's a little lever you pull in, takes the battery
Do
offline.
you know
I
how
guess they
many?
love that.
Do you know how many auto body repair shops are on that Tesla list in Sonoma County?
Tons.
Oh, really? Okay, so there's a lot of them there.
There's really no issue. You've
So
got
there's
your
more-
choice.
More of those than there are dealerships that are on the participating dealer list.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking a little while back about like loaner ideas, maybe
Yeah.
auto body loaner
That's
ideas
great.
that are
Yeah.
Seems
That's
like an
another.
natural.
I love
yeah,
it.
because maybe the car
Oh,
needs to
interesting.
be turned in anyway.
Well, so you went to GNC, but they referred you to Enterprise for a loaner.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they typically
Well,
do. And
actually,
they'll bring the vehicle over.
It was my
to
insurance company,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like, so your insurance company usually has a network of rental.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they'll say, yeah,
I have
pick
a
one of these
car
three, or
buyer.
we'll pick one for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if there are any auto body repair shops on that Tesla list of certified repair places that also do their own loaner vehicles, and those might be potential
No, they
EVs.
don't. Because
Yeah,
you know,
it's not their
because
No, no.
competency.
yeah, because a rental car agency is in the business of renting cars.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I've been to, let me think about it. I thought I'd been to auto body repair shops that had their own vehicle rentals
No.
on site.
I never understood.
None of them do?
Never.
Yeah.
Oh,
One last thing too I remembered is that through the Cal EVIP program, which was this public charging program, we did just open, one of our sites that we rebated opened out in Bodega Bay at the Tides Wharf. It's the gas station that's at the Tides Wharf, and they just opened, I think, I want to say there's 4 DC
I think
fast
I've seen
chargers
that.
there.
I've seen-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't used it yet, so if anybody has a chance to use it and report back.
And who's running that?
It's a company called EVCS.
Okay.
That took years,
They
right?
did, yeah. And so a lot of it was inspection, and actually, yeah, we were like, this program's closing, like, these need to open, or you're not getting the money. And they're like, okay.
I was surprised to see new DC chargers here in town, just at the market around, but they're only 50 kilowatt, and I'm surprised anybody's putting in 50
Oh,
kilowatt.
wow. Yeah.
I mean,
It was like a federal subsidy.
yeah, it's not a 10-minute turnaround, but
Yeah,
if you have a little bit of time, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some of those are 125.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
The bigger ones are.
But yeah, if you live in the neighborhood and you don't mind paying
Take a walk with your dog.
kilowatt.
54 cents a kilowatt, 64 cents.
Yeah, it's
Is that how much everybody
Yeah.
it's
pays?
doubled in
One fast charger.
It's
Yeah.
still cheaper than
Oh.
gas.
Is it still cheaper than gas?
Yeah.
The Tesla's around 70 now, 70 cents, isn't it? Fast
Oh,
charging.
for
Really?
non-Tesla?
Is it time?
No.
Yeah, for a non-Tesla.
For
Yeah.
a non-Tesla, and,
Yeah.
and you can. I had just learned that if you have a non-Tesla, you can pay them a monthly fee to buy that.
Yeah,
charger.
it's $13 a month. I'm gonna do it for my road trip.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know if anyone here uses Community Market in Santa Rosa. I mean, they've got one EV charger, but it's free.
Yeah, that's
Public.
provided by Storm Clean Power too.
Yeah. I mean, actually, they'd probably be interested
we,
more.
I think we worked together on the installation.
Yeah.
Do more of that.
Yeah,
Well,
John.
I knew you'd take up the full time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, before he offered to do this,
Oh my God.
and we'll do this another time. I went through a webinar from Canada Talks EVs they did it in April, and they covered what do battery technology look like today, what does motor technology look like, and what will it look like in the future. Same thing with the batteries. And then the last one was a whole bunch of analysis in Canada of EVs on fast chargers, charging, how many miles, blah 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 blah, and what the measured results are. So a lot of things that we worry about do I charge at 80%? Do I charge? I always charge at 100%. I'm lazy. So they cover all those numbers and see what the differences are if you charge to 100%, you charge to 80%, how often you charge on the fast charger, which is part of the question of if I live in an apartment and I go to stations, what's the impact on my vehicle, stuff like that. But the motor stuff I thought was really interesting, and the battery stuff as far as the different chemistries and trade-offs that are coming up. So I think
We can-
our next meeting is the picnic.
Right. That's maybe the last slide.
Yeah,
So
so
the
if-
Cotati La Plaza Park. I think it's August 8th.
Let me get to the last slide.
So you'll be giving this talk another time then?
Maybe
Obviously,
so.
I'll give this talk another time. And I stole all this material just by snapshotting their presentations. So what I can tell you is who
I thought
gave
you
the
gave
talks.
this talk a while.
And I'll pull it out of this deck and we'll put it in the deck maybe for September or something. Let me get all the way down. See, enough slides there.
So
Isn't Canada
What
importing
time is that?
Chinese cars?
We'll we could do the regular
I
like
thought we
10 to
did that
12.
talk already.
In the past, we've done it 1 hour late. Do you
That
like
would
that
make
idea?
sense for lunch.
Do 11 to 1.
That's interesting.
I'm getting there.
Doesn't Canada import Chinese EVs?
Oh, yeah.
certain number.
Yeah.
They have like
They just started
45,000.
Oh,
That's-
yeah.
that's
Oh,
fascinating.
this one is worthwhile.
is.
Wait a second. Here, just a second. Not that one.
They're putting in like 20 BYD dealerships right
I saw
In
this.
Canada?
Sorry, I
I'm
wanted to share
thinking,
this
can we
one
get them and bring
with
it back
everybody
over?
as well. This was out of
Because they
a
look-
different
it looks-
presentation.
This, all the data
And it
on
was
this is so impressive.
Just the curves here, based on years from the year 1000 to the year 2100, and what's happening with the population, life
They're all over
expectancy,
Europe.
GDPs, land use, carbon dioxide. We're in an entirely different, and this is what, from the book Earth years ago, the EAA RTH, McKibben's book. It
Yeah.
says, we're living on a different planet than we were born on.
Yeah.
And if you look at all of these graphs, there's not a single factor here that says change is happening so rapidly
Yeah.
in our existence. It's hard to understand how we're keeping up with it, and AI is going to get worse. Okay, there we are.
So that's a little,
Yeah, and
little
so-
taster for us. For,
So Dan voted for 11 a.m. start
Oh, for the picnic?
for the picnic, so that we could go like 11 to 1.
Okay.
It sounds more picnicky.
It's more picnicky.
It's
And-
more picnicky? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Brad.
That was an exciting topic.
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot to share. That was really great. So I took a lot of notes, and certainly let you know. Give you a heads up if we start moving in the direction of
Okay.
making this up.
When I send out the roundup to everybody, I'll say the picnic next
Yeah.
month for the 11th.
Are we still
And-
recording?
We can stop.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure if we should end the meeting.
Isn't he on?
Yeah.
Patrick Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, David.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Patrick,